Hey, Buster, are you there? Have you got your guitar?
Yeah, I've got it right here. I've just been working on something new. It's a song about looking for the truth. Play it for you guys.
What are you doing? You want your shelf level or not? And if I say yes, you're gonna provide that for me with that? Yes? See the bubble? I'm familiar with the bubble, Morty. I also dabble in precision, and if you think you can even approach it with your sad, naked caveman eyeball and a bubble of air, you're the reason this species is a failure, and it makes me angry. You want to experience true level? Do you? Oh, that's in the mind for all to fade. And it makes me angry. Choices will be made. You want to experience true level? Do you? You can choose to let your mind be free. Wow, it's so... Oh my God. Oh, Christ. Yeah. True level, bitch. I think that you're right.
Exactly. It's level.
Everybody knows that you're wrong. And it makes me angry. There are things wow, it's so... Oh my God. Oh, Christ. Yeah. True level, bitch. In the end, you're fine. We're all looking for the truth. Save it for YouTube. I'll keep looking for clues. Wow, it's so... Oh my God. Oh, Christ. Yeah. True level, bitch.
And that's my midpoint, 981. But look what I did here. And bam, there's the radius of the Earth. Using this bridge. Computing the radius of the Earth. 3 coplanar points in 3D would describe a circle.
You want to experience true level? Do you? True level, bitch. I'll keep looking for clues.
That's the thing, your vision is already being obfuscated by the spherical cap. One of the humps.
True level, bitch.
Radius of the Earth.
Lamp to the cosmic slaughter! Well, you seem to be in charge of what I get to remember. Why? Good question. We will watch it burn.
And bam, there's the radius of the Earth.
Ground in pieces. From the ashes come. Yeah. True level, bitch. That is pure for all to see.
You know, we have our...
It has been directly measured.
Do you? Everybody knows that you're wrong.
By Jesse Kozlowski.
There are things in this world.
You know, I got the idea from Belu. I'm not kidding.
Objectively true. Yeah. True level, bitch. Fine. We're all looking for the truth. I'll keep looking for clues. Yeah. True level, bitch. Yeah. True level, bitch. Oh my God. Oh, Christ. Yeah. True level, bitch. True level, bitch. All right, save it for YouTube. I'll keep looking for clues.
And we are live. Welcome everyone to a Wednesday stream where I think we can go over a video that PT made. Not much of a video really. I'm not too sure what he was hoping to get out of it. But no doubt the conversation's going to continue. Probably led by us, because I'm not too sure anybody knows much about any of the rest of it, to be honest. We do have people saying that he can't... What's that? See? We can't figure out the radius based on the circumference. There you go. That's an admittance from Stefan Wood. He's one of the guys. He's in the chat. There's a lot of people come into the On The Level Discord server to do this. Blue Marble Science is one of the favourites. He does send a lot of his Blue Marble scientists over here. He doesn't tend to send them over to Nathan Oakley much anymore.
No, this is where they come to do their oblations here.
Yeah. It's no use going to
They're religious. No, they do their religious servitude here, their oblations.
And I went round to talk to Nathan Oakley today, hopefully to get this out. But again, he needs to let some steam off, Nathan, whenever he engages with people. And I feel like, you know, it's not fair that he should do that to normal people. You know, like he's got people like Lumpy and, you know, like his supporters, right? They want to be able to say things to Nathan. So I feel I take on the burden of saying these things to Nathan. So people will know what will happen to them if they ever say these things to Nathan Oakley. And it's getting quite tricky, right? The 8 inches per mile squared, that's a tough question for anybody to deal with. It doesn't really matter whether you're a flat earther or a globe earther or somebody, you know, most people who are just, they wouldn't have a clue what 8 inches per mile squared means. Because it just means nothing anyway. It doesn't really mean anything to anyone. Other than, like Kevin says, these guys who have their oblations, they just want to come and vent, I guess. I don't think there's many places where people can, you know, let off steam, all of their angst and frustrations and hatred that's all built up based around model affliction. Different sides, Betty's side rule is in play, and it causes people to be, well, I don't know. I've been trying to work out what 8 inches per mile actually means to people. And obviously, if you've never been in this arena anywhere around flat earthers or globe earthers, you won't have a clue what 8 inches per mile squared even means. In fact, I pretty much think that if you're going to find people due to their searches, something about 8 inches per mile squared would sort of let you know you get put on a list for even saying that. So what does it mean? Well, I don't do fantasy math, so to me, it's just a number. But I mean, easily represented by the fact that if you have, well, let me get Jesse Kozlowski. I will just get a short clip of Jesse Kozlowski and play it over this bit. I don't have to go too far, and I will put it in the Discord. This is, oh, turn the volume up.
Away, drops down.
Here we go.
The level surface drops away, drops down from the horizontal plane at a rate of 8 inches times the distance in miles squared.
There you go. So that's Jesse Kozlowski. It may sound like Brenda. I think he does sound a lot like Brenda. Similar jawline as well. And that's what Jesse Kozlowski said. So the relationship of something dropping down from horizontal. Everybody obviously knows what horizontal is. This relationship of this formula, 8 inches times the distance in miles squared. Well, the distance would be a mile. And then the drop down, drop away, would be the 8 inches. So it gives you most of the stuff that you need to know the basics of this formula. And obviously, you relate it to reality within these measurements. 1 mile and 8 inches. Well, 1 mile, obviously, horizontal distance. 8 inches drop vertical distance. Quite simply, Jesse Kozlowski says one of them drops away from the other by 8 inches. So that's measurable. Both the 8 inches and the 1 mile. Because you could definitely do that. You could go 1 mile and mark that thing. And then you could put a ruler and say 8 inches. Am I wrong? Is that what the formula is? Is that how we use the formula? In reality, it's a mathematical formula.
Is it used anywhere in reality? I mean, we know it's used in this arena.
Well, I mean,
Thrown out there anyway.
8 inches per mile squared. It's a quadratic.
Yeah, I know.
You know, the square adds.
Right, but is it? You said is it used in reality? Right? Is it used in reality? I don't know. Do surveyors use that? Is that something surveyors use? 8 inches per mile squared?
Well, I mean, you can measure a mile, like I say. You can measure a mile, and you can measure 8 inches. So, to me,
So I guess
it's just, you know,
maybe.
practical. But Jesse Kozlowski seems to think, and this is the part that gets me, he thinks that level drops away from horizontal. Well, I don't. And I guess that's the only difference, really. I think level, well, in fact, I know, really, a bit of giving the game away, but let's say I think level is horizontal. And there are other people that don't. Like Blue Marble Science and the Blue Marble Scientists. And I'd say his cult. But, you know, that's about as simple as this is. We've been on a journey, and I keep saying it, level is horizontal. It's quite tricky for a certain group of people to understand. Namely, Nathan Oakley and the Flat Earthers. And I don't know why they can't understand it. But there's also another group of people that don't think that level's horizontal either. And that's Blue Marble Science. And here we are, just trying to deal with reality. Trying to talk to people about these numbers and things. And as you'll hear, you know, when we go for conversations with people, it's getting harder and harder to talk to people. And that just means to me that people are finding it harder and harder to talk about reality. And when you get into that stage, I'm not too sure what's left of civilizations. If you can't talk to people about reality without people getting upset and wanting to silence you, mute you, ad hom, call you names. Because the only reason people call you names is to incite you into some sort of reaction, an aggressive reaction. Because people do. Not many people will sit there and, you know, take abuse from someone just because, because they can't argue, can't state their points across clearly. Flip it round. Say you have mental problems, which is what happened today, Nathan Oakley. Very strange. And
Nathan said someone had mental problems?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Social problems, social mental problems.
Oh dear.
And that was me. But I mean,
you do.
There might have been a little bit of projection there, but I don't think Nathan would see it that way.
I don't think he would either.
I don't think any of his fans do either.
Most likely not.
So, yeah, 8 inches per mile squared. I mean, who can talk about it? It's nonsense.
Apparently, Petey can talk about it,
Well,
but I guess we'll get into that maybe.
yeah. Yeah. Do you want to go over that? Let's see whether we can find.
It's just like 6 minutes, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and 3 of it is you.
I don't know where it's gone. Try. I might have deleted it. Okay. I don't know whether he linked us or anything in the video. He probably won't have done. You know, these globers. No, I might have to look in my history about that. He knows a lot of... I've got a Professor Dave one, Introduction to Philosophy and Logic. You know, Professor Dave that isn't a professor. We'll have to go over
that should be good.
Yeah. It's only a 6 minute, 8 minute one. So we'll go over that in thingy one.
Oh, that's going to be right up my alley for sure. How'd you get to your history? Library. Should be on the left hand side.
I'm not used to doing it. I normally go on my you. I normally go on my phone. Oh, if PT's there, does PT want to come in? If you're listening, PT, pop on in, and you can explain your what you're doing. Blue Marble Science has got one. Let me find it. I'll find it on my phone while we're going over this. Blue Marble did a comment on PT's video, and I did get that there, right? So whether you can see that while I'm trying to look for the thing. Blue Marble Science, in reply to PT, says, Earth's radius is the only thing required. Everything else is determined by that. The best part about it is the fact that what you can simulate in GeoGebra can and has been verified countless times by actual land surveyors. Even amateurs can do it with the right equipment. And in fact, this is like a fact, Blue Marble's facts, normally a bit questionable. In fact, Bev himself did it quite by accident. When we look at long triangulation lines, you find something very odd happening. Odd. When we look at long triangulation lines, you find something very odd happening. Mountain peaks that are 1,000 meters higher in elevation than an observer will consistently appear below horizontal. And that's the exact effect you're simulating. I'm looking forward to your video. Keep up the great work. PT's doing some video with Blue Marble support. And he says, thanks, Blue. Yeah, that's what I do here. Provide the radius and let GeoGebra tell me the answers. It turns out that the impossible is indeed possible. Who would have thought that? So that's both Blue and PT verified that it's measurable, like Jesse Kozlowski. Oh yeah, it's measurable as a drop from the horizontal. The thing is, that a drop from horizontal is a measured change in elevation, as any surveyor would tell you, measured on the vertical. Let me find this video.
That's an inconvenient truth for some, I think.
Here we go, I've got it. Share, copy link. Give it to you guys here. Like this is for later, just for prosperity. Put it in the stream. PT. I don't think he linked me on it, but we'll have a look, right? Let's see whether I can just click it here. Okay, so you've got, here we go. Right. PT's video, does it mention me in the quadratics and the worst rhetoric ever? So that's where we were talking about it, the video. He has linked the video. It's got 64 views. I mean, come on. Is nobody bothered about the 8 inches per mile? Sultan Spin's not too keen on it. He doesn't want to go over. He don't want us to go over it, or oh, there you go. And for you guys here in Discord. Right, you got that?
Yep.
This is 6 minutes 37. So it's not long. Obviously, a lot of me. Here we go. Okay, so you've got a formula, quadratic formula, 8 inches per mile squared. What is the distance for the half measure? Quadratic formula, guys, come on. 8 inches over a mile. What is it at half a mile? The distance of a mile is, according to the formula, 8 inches. The question for you is, what is that distance over the half mile? The answer is a number in inches. Do you know it? Obviously, I was over at the Flat Earthers, and I don't think they did. It took them ages to answer that. And, I mean, don't blame them. Not a lot of people do. It's a mathematical formula. It's got a square in the formula. And as you'll see, PT, PT assumes a few things. So let's go with it. Right, that's me asking the Flat Earthers that PT's,
This was Bev trying to make sense of 8 inches per mile squared.
It wasn't me trying to make sense of it. It was me asking the Flat Earthers whether they could get the half distance measure. So, PT's a little bit misrepresenting, right? Because
with a group of people on Discord. So let's listen in. We'll make some comments and then we'll do some geometry.
So that number, that 8 inches, is a vertical distance, right?
Technically, no.
Technically, no.
But yet, on his own thing there, it says drop vertical.
It's got a perpendicular, right? It's perpendicular to the horizontal. So that's vertical.
That is a vertical drop.
Yeah.
And it says vertical drop. Well, it says drop vertical.
It says drop is this bit here that's perpendicular. And vertical's a red line. Can you see that? They're two different coloured lines. So one's the drop, and then the vertical is at an angle to the drop.
So the angle is a vertical.
Well, according to this drawing here, it's sloped.
I guess.
It's got a sloped vertical in the picture that isn't
So it's not
perpendicular to the horizontal.
So his vertical is not a drop.
His drop is different than the vertical. I think that's the only thing that we can say. He's got a slope vertical, and the drop is different than the vertical. But however, it is perpendicular to this. What he's got here is a tangential plane. Jesse Kozlowski. We go back over that again. Let me get that, Andy. Because this is where I think PT misses out on this sort of stuff. Oh no. Here we go.
Drops away. The level surface drops away, drops down from the horizontal plane at a rate of 8 inches times the distance in miles squared.
Right, okay, so that's Jesse Kozlowski. That does
Now
sound
he
like
says it
Granddad.
does drop away.
Yeah, well, that drop is from the horizontal plane. He's got it labelled as a tangential plane. So Jesse Kozlowski would call that drop from the horizontal plane. I would call that vertical. Obviously, I
would as
did.
well.
I said the 8 inches was a vertical. But PT
Yes.
Says no. Technically, no. But technically, perpendicular to the horizontal
Is vertical.
is vertical,
Yeah.
technically.
Yes,
So
technically.
it's not a technically no, it's a yes. Yes, that's exactly what vertical is. And if anybody wants to disagree, you can disagree. But I'm the one that's saying vertical and horizontal are perpendicular. Jesse Kozlowski says that one drops away from horizontal. So therefore, that's the plane where the drop is coming from. I don't know why he's put a sloping vertical in the picture, but
It's weird.
I guess that's the sort of thing these people have to do.
That's something a flat earther might say.
Something a flat earther might say. Let's just go back and let's hear what a flat earther might say. So that number, that 8 inches, is a vertical distance, right?
Technically, no. That's something a flat earther might say.
Okay, so saying that the 8 inches per mile squared is a drop from the horizontal, which would be perpendicular to the horizontal.
And vertical,
That
also
would
known
be
as vertical.
something that a flat earther might say. So remember this, people. Flat earthers might say that it's a vertical drop as well, as just people imagining that that's what it means. A drop of 8 inches means it's a vertical drop, right? That's normally how things drop, vertically, isn't it? It would be good to ask Jesse Kozlowski. He's not around. We can't ask him.
Nope.
We could take Pete's word for it, right? Sloping verticals.
Oh, sure.
I mean, why
sure.
not? Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
By the way, just want to thank you, Mishu. Mishu gifted 10 membership, so thanks, Mishu.
All of those people. Thanks a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mishu. He's been working hard at the minute. Mishu getting banned and muted by flat earthers. Thank you. Right, so here we go. Carry on. I'm not a flat earther.
He's not the only one. He's not the only flat earther getting muted on flat earth streams.
I don't think Mishu's a flat earther, to be honest. I think there's a lot of people that just go around. They're fascinated with this conversation.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to put him in a bracket.
Well, we know you have been. We know you have been, Rob.
I just wanted to mention that I've been banned from flat earth places, and I identify as a flat earther.
It's happening more and
super
more.
weird for me.
Yeah. It's questioning people.
Technically, no. That's something a flat earther might say.
I'm not a flat earther. So he's got a clip of me saying I'm not a flat earther. So, I mean, he's adding to the amount of times that I've said I'm not a flat earther. Thanks, PT.
This vertical distance will actually be a longer path to the plane, although...
Look, vertical distance will be along. He even points at it, and he makes a point about the vertical distance higher.
Points to a slope and says vertical.
Yeah, I mean, is that something a flat earther might say? Sloping verticals, tilting verticals. I don't know. I mean, what sort of a person would tilt a vertical?
For the distances that we're talking about here, there's virtually no difference.
Virtually no difference between the vertical and the not vertical.
Not vertical.
Yeah.
Or the not vertical and the vertical not vertical.
The sloping, the tilting vertical and the perpendicular to the horizontal. There's virtually no difference. Right?
Yeah.
Except he's just said that a flat earther would say one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's virtually no difference between a flat earther saying that the drop is vertical and the guy that says the vertical's tilting. No difference, virtually no difference. It's there on the screen. Virtually no difference. So remember that. There's virtually no difference between you being a flat earther and a not a flat earther. But Petey, here we go. Here we go. This one.
No, that's something a flat earther might say.
I'm not a flat earther.
This vertical distance will actually be a longer path to the plane, although for the distances that we're talking about here, there's virtually no difference.
Yeah, so it's literally just the measured drop.
So come on, Bev, tell us how you work it out.
It's your drop? Well, you measure it in reality, don't you? Using the tools that are designed for measuring a change from the vertical, from the horizontal on the vertical datum. 8 inches per mile squared. So we start off with the 8. The quadratic would make it 2, wouldn't it? Quarter. It being a quadratic. Wouldn't a quarter of 8 be 2?
Well, he's got the right answer.
Right answer. This is great. This is how far these people have to go, right?
He got the right answer, but I'm going to tell you something.
Right? But yeah, now he's going to say...
Answer.
Let's see what he
maybe
says.
I'm doing him a disservice, but there's a little part of me that thinks that he's divided 8 by 4 simply because, and for no other reason than the word quadratic has got quad in it.
He might be doing you a disservice.
Yeah.
By intimating that you've done something that the right answer. I don't know. You got the right answer, and how you would have gotten it. How would any elementary school student have gotten? We're just talking about maths here. It seems pretty simple.
Yeah, it's
you do have it. You do have a squared function, but that's fairly easy. It's whatever number times whatever that same number. I mean, most people know what that means. I don't understand why he's done the disservice to you by saying that you divided it by 4, because you didn't divide it by 4. I don't know. Maybe you did.
I've got the right answer, right? But that's a problem, isn't it? Because that would mean he had to agree with me because the answer was correct.
Well, let's see, because I know how you got it because we all did this together. So let's see if he's right.
The point is, though, right? In the video that he's going over, the guy said 1.87.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. So that was wrong. And I pointed that
definitely
out
wrong
in the video. And I was the one that had to tell them it was 2.
Yes.
And now Petey's saying, well, not only did he know the other guys were wrong, but the answer that he got was correct. But it's Bev, and, you're not allowed to agree with Bev. So you have to come up and make it a different way that Bev just fluked an answer somehow. And this is what he does. This is how he's deriving it.
So hang on. So I want to clear this up just for the audience that's listening. So in essence, this guy is saying that Bev mistakenly got the right answer. Get that?
Yeah, he thinks, I think so.
Mistakenly got the right answer. That's what he's saying here.
Yeah, wasn't clever enough to work it out the proper way to understand
Right.
what a quadratic is and how that function applies itself mathematically. He just doesn't think that that's possible. But if you listen to that conversation, you'll hear there seems to be a really bad problem with people understanding what 8 inches per mile squared actually is.
Thinks that he's divided 8 by 4 simply because, and for no other reason than the word quadratic has got quad in it, meaning 4 or fourth. Of course, halving the distance means you can divide the known drop height by 4, or we could do 1/2 squared, which makes a quarter, and a quarter of 8 inches is 2 inches.
Which is what I said.
Mm-hmm.
So how different is what he did than what I did? Literally, I don't know. But well done, PT. Brilliant. You're a genius. You also came with the same answer as I did.
2 inches, over half a mile.
He didn't fluke it, right? He knew it mathematically. He
wrote
it mathematically, obviously.
Wrote it out even.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Of course, he did use fractions, and if you're using a calculator, that's a little difficult to do fractions. I mean, you'd have to know that 1 divided by 2 is 0.5.
Yeah.
But then if you do 0.5 times 0.5, you will get
0.25.
1/4 or 0.25. Yeah.
Which is a quarter. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have used the decimal instead of the fraction, but
quarter is a fourth.
It would be a fourth, yeah. I wonder if that's related to quadratic. Fourth. Oh, never mind.
Wonder that might be why it's called a quadratic.
Maybe.
Who knows? Yeah.
But somebody would be doing you a disservice by pointing that out, Bev.
He might be doing me a disservice by saying that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Might. Yep.
But same answer. So, all right. Okay. There we go.
8 inches is 2 inches.
McToon says the 8 inches per mile squared formula is accurate.
Well, let's construct the geometry.
Okay. Well, let me get this one as well, because I like to have the receipts. PT's just sort of doing this. McToon. Right, where's McToon? Well, I think I went the wrong way. I've got quite a few of these clips of these people saying things because may sound irrelevant, right? Here we go. This is it.
I'll do it right here.
Here we go.
Professor Dave, in your 10 things that all flat earthers say video, point number 3, I believe, you said that they all say 8 inches per mile squared, and you're correct on that. And then you said it's wrong because it's a parabola, and you're wrong on that, Professor Dave. The reason why it's the wrong formula is because it's for drop, not because it's a parabola. When you use it for drop, it's fine. You are going to get, for as many digits of precision that you need for your observation, you're going to get enough digits of precision using that approximation. Because when you're looking at something over 60 miles or 100 miles, you're not getting 6 digits of precision. You'd be lucky to get 2 or 3 digits of precision. So Dave, I appreciate that video. It's a great video. And we're going to show it here in a second. But that particular part of it, you got wrong. So I got to put them at your buds.
There you go. So McToon tells the not Professor Dave that he was wrong. So you can go and watch that video, Professor Dave's. No doubt millions of people have watched it. Millions. And McToon's telling him he's wrong because it's accurate for drop. And that's exactly what we're talking about in this. So PT is going to do this now and construct it. accurate approach,
geometry for both imperial and metric, and we'll ask GeoGebra to measure the drop at various points. First, we'll define a variable for the radius of planet Earth, and second is to create a very small part of its curved surface. Next up are three variables. C is a conversion for inches in a mile. S1 is a half a mile surface distance away, and S2 is a mile. The next step is to create a checkbox so that we can switch between imperial and metric. We'll come back to this in a minute. Here's our initial point A.
It's more like a how-to GeoGebra type thing at the minute, but I mean, this is where he's going. This is fun.
Point B, that's half a mile away from A. Point C, and that's half a mile away from B. Now, checking this box will do a number of things at once. It will change the radius value to 6371 kilometers. This conversion number will change to 1,000,000 millimeters in a kilometer. The distance from A to B will change to 100 meters. And the distance from B to C will also be 100 meters.
100 meters, I'm not too sure. Really? 100 meters. Okay, fair enough. 100 meters.
Next, I want to create two tangential planes, one at A and one at B. There's very little point in leaving these visible, as they're practically hugging the surface, so I'll leave them both hidden for now. Next, I want to write the line that will measure the drop at B from the plane that's tangent at A. And basically,
did you hear? I mean, I know he's doing mathematics, right? But did you hear what he said? It's on screen there. Can you read that?
They're practically hugging the surface.
So in practicality, that's like for reals, they're hugging the surface. Now, we called them tangential planes. In practicality, do tangential planes hug the surface?
No, they don't hug the surface. It's a tangent at one point only.
Mathematically, do they hug the surface?
No, I don't believe they do.
Or practically? Could a practical definition be any different than the mathematical definition of a tangent plane?
Well, we know what people have done with definitions, right?
Yeah. It may be just me being pedantic with the use of practically hugging the surface with a tangential plane.
I'm guessing PD would have a different definition, but still, your point's valid.
Yeah, I think you could have a moan at it. Blue Marble could have a moan at it. You know, those sort of people. Get yourself a moan about us talking about practically hugging the surface with a tangential plane. And I know it's only within your model. It's just a mathematical model. But practically hugging the surface on a mathematical model is impossible for a tangential plane. Maybe a little bit deceitful to his crowd. But, you know, I like to review things thoroughly.
They're practically hugging the surface. So I'll leave them both hidden for now. Next, I want to write the line that will measure the drop at B from the plane that's tangent at A. I'm basically asking GeoGebra to find the...
So he's doing a drop from the plane, the horizontal, like Jesse Kozlowski says, the drop. The measured drop, perpendicular to the plane.
Closest point in that plane to point B, and then return that distance in inches. Out of interest, I also want to measure the drop at point C from the plane that's tangent at B, and it shouldn't come as any surprise that this distance is the same as the previous result. Lastly, we want to get the drop over the full mile, so that's the distance from the plane that's tangent at A to point C, and we get a tad over 8 inches.
meters,
let's say it's 2 inches over a half. Right, see what he's done there, right? 8 inches. Now he's forgotten about closing your loop. One of the usual things whenever you're doing a check for these elevation marks, you're going from A, transposing the benchmark at A, to B.
Yes.
Right, but then you have to return back to A to close the loop to make sure that all of your calculations and your measurements have all added up together. You've not made a mistake. He forgets about that. There's a reason PT forgets about that. I don't think it's worth going into. But, you know, have a word with PT.
Maybe it's not really practical then. Perhaps it's just not practical. Because in practicality, right, you would have to do that.
Close your loop. Yeah. Okay, so back to the half mile. Well, if you add those two together, you end up with 4 inches. But if you start from 1 point and go the whole mile, you have 8 inches. So that's a good point. Whoever said that, I think it might have been me. Right. So, here we go. We've got from A to B to C. 2 inches over a half mile. So 2 inches over the first half mile. And that's the same for either of these, right? He should have left that one in there. Well, if you add those two, see, another 2 for the other half mile. Together, you end up with 4 inches. 4 inches, yeah. Now, this one here from A to B should stay there because that doesn't change. That stays at 2, right? Because it's still a half distance for the full thing. But if you start from 1, see that 8 inches. 1 point and go the whole mile, you have 8 inches. 8 inches? So there's a difference of 4 inches, isn't there? A difference of 4 inches, isn't there? Between 4 and 8. That would be a difference of 4. Yep. He's right there, right? Now, did PT do that maths right, or did I do that maths right? Does 2 2s add up to 4? And, yeah. 4 isn't 8. And this is what I was pointing out. This is literally what I was pointing out. That you know, there's a difference of 4. Now, how did that happen? Where did it come from? Who knows? That's pretty noticeable, right? As an impossible sort of measurement. It would go to show you how impossible it is to measure this thing. Because if you go twice...
What does he have flashing there? He has something flashing on the screen. What would that be?
Well, let me go back. These 2 together, you end up with 4 inches. 4 inches. But if you start from 1 point and go the whole mile, you have 8 inches. So there's a difference of 4 inches. That's right. Isn't that? That's right. That's pretty noticeable, right? Yeah, 4 inches, yeah. As an impossible sort of measurement.
What's that flashing?
It would go to show you how
incredulity alert
to measure this thing. Oh yeah. Up at the top there, you can't see it because of the level. Yeah, it's got incredulity alert.
Flashing.
Because I'm saying it's impossible, right? Because
I
the
don't know.
impossibility is that the shorter these distances you get as you're trying to transpose it from one to the other, the number changes. It starts off at 8 inches. I don't know whether you can get it bigger than 8 inches. I don't think it's possible, right? Is it? No, it's not possible, is it? It's not possible to measure more than 8 inches drop with the formula. But it is possible to make it less than 8 inches, like as exposed there with the 2 inches and the... Because if you go twice as far, it isn't twice the drop, which is impossible. Your brain gets fried when you see an impossibility. But Right. You either have to work the impossibility out or just let it go and incorporate it into your model. Right, so there you go. I'm telling you, if you see something like this that's a contradictory thing, it becomes impossible, because I mean, most people will be like, I don't understand the maths for this, and that's because it doesn't make any sense. It's fantasy maths.
Does anybody know what incredulity means? I mean, I hate to keep going back to this.
Oh, it's something that.
But it's interesting he uses this word.
Well, no, it's not, because it's a very frequent Twitter word. It was very, very popular with the Twitter guys.
I'm not sure they understand what it actually means, though.
Well, it doesn't.
This goes back to the language.
Right? They've got their own understanding of what it means.
But for our audience, let me just read the definition of incredulous. Incredulous is unwilling to admit or accept what is offered as true. So while I think PD's trying to take the piss a little bit with his incredulity alert, right? You are incredulous here because you're unwilling to accept what you're being told and what others are being told as a truth, which is over this distance from A to C, there should be a drop of 8 inches. But if you have it to a half a mile, then it's 2 inches. And it's 2 inches at each stage of the half a mile. So what's wrong with being incredulous about this? I think it's perfectly fine to be incredulous. But somehow, I don't think PD thinks that it's realistic to be incredulous about it. Maybe he's going to explain.
Maybe. Well,
that could be. He's got a minute. He does have a minute and a half to explain.
Okay. I think it's me talking for most of it. But if you incorporate impossibilities into the framework that you're basing everything on, then you end up with a broken mind. It's impossible.
Here,
which is why one might be incredulous.
Here we go. It's a flat earther thing again. This is where he gets to call me a flat earther and then use the clip where I say I'm not a flat earther. He's such a clever video editor.
Here, Bev starts thinking linearly, like a flat earther.
I'm not thinking linearly like a flat earther.
Interesting.
Yeah. Linearly thinking. Imagine that.
Go on, PD. Tell us more.
Shortest distance between 2 points. Not a flat earther.
But if he remembered his globe,
he
could leave his incredulity by the wayside.
Well, if that's measurable,
you can leave your incredulity by the wayside, can you?
Yeah, for tis globe.
So you could just accept. Let's go back to incredulous, right? Yeah, unwilling to admit or accept what is offered as true.
Tis globe.
What's offered. So if you just accept the offering that PD's providing to you, Bev, if you just accept like a good churchgoer might accept the Eucharist when he stands there and the priest places it upon his tongue. If you just accept that, stop being incredulous.
Yeah,
everything will be fine.
Become incredulous the moment you don't accept what he's handing.
Their offered truth. Yeah. Yes.
Tis globe. Yeah.
Tis globe.
And we say, yeah, tis globe. Fine, with you.
Yep.
It's just that our globe is a real globe. And we're just pointing out this is impossible. Can't do it. It's impossible to do. He can relate it to mathematics as much as he wants, but this is Euclidean mathematics. Like he said, he's got a tangent plane that hugs the surface, practically hugs the surface. Impossible too. There's lots of impossibilities within his words, but the only thing that would be true is the geometry that he's doing. But he's not related it to horizontal. Like, he seems to have forgot completely about Jesse Kozlowski. Other than the fact of the tilting verticals. That was a Jesse Kozlowski thing. The quarter mile would be measurable too. It would.
Well, a quarter times a quarter is a 16th times that by 8, that's 8 over 16 or a half, so half an inch. Let's give...
Yeah, half an inch. A quarter of 2. Who'd have thunk that? Isn't that brilliant, the way that they do that? You see the way he did that? We might be giving him a bit of a disservice. He might have been doing that like a flat earther.
He might have just divided it by 4 because it's quadratic.
Yeah. Yeah, he might have just assumed because it's a quadratic that he could divide it by 4.
Yep. But we might be doing
the right answer, though, right? He got the right answer, though, right?
He did get the right answer. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Give it a go.
Up. Ooh.
Half an inch.
Half an inch. I mean, in a mile, you've got 8 inches, but what have you got at 100 meters? 200 meters? You know, measurable distances. What have you got? He's got it there. 0.7848 millimeters. I mean, we've got that. We've got that. Because you'd only end up with, like, let's say you get 1 millimeter drop over 100 meters. Well, 16 of them would give you 16 millimeters. That's not 8 inches. Like, you're missing a fair bit there, aren't you? You're not even really at an inch. See, I'm not with him on that, because 16 millimeters isn't an inch, is it? There's like 25 millimeters in an inch. So if you were to go 16 100 meters, I mean, it's 1609 meters is a mile metric. So if you go 16 100 meters, you've gone 1600 meters, and you've only dropped, according to the maths, 16 millimeters. That's not 8 inches. And so Petey thinks that's funny somehow. He's put a funny laughing clip in there. I don't know what it was for. Perhaps if Petey was brave enough to come and have a chat, he might be able to let us know what exactly he meant by it.
Well, he does have 30 seconds left. 16. So maybe he will explain it. He's got 30 seconds left in the video. So
16 millimeters, yeah. It's not 8 inches.
Well, I'm going to leave this one here.
Oh.
Seeing the way this geometry was constructed, I'm hoping
that
we'll no longer see this as an impossibility.
It's still an impossibility.
What?
Right?
Still impossible, yeah, totally. Oh, goodness.
Yeah. I mean, I if that's incredulity, then I'm afraid I'm going to have to admit that, because I'm not accepting bullshit, Petey. Sorry. It's impossible. You can't measure it. That would be the next one for you, Petey, would be to come and join us measuring.
Yeah.
This stuff at the canal. Come and join. You could be one of the legs of the thing when we join all of these together.
You could even bring the PD. I'm sure they wouldn't mind if you brought the little wafers that they put on the parishioners' tongues. You could bring them along to the gang can have a snack. Yeah. Bring some bread or something.
You can
do a little a little ritual.
What we do isn't a straight line somehow.
Mm-hmm.
You could show us our incredulity of how the mathematical understanding of a straight line in reality relates to this. Yeah, so thanks so much. Oh, Peter is with you last bit.
Maybe, just maybe, he'll realise the error in his thought process.
Anyone? Error?
Yeah, no.
There you go.
No.
Yeah. Is there an error?
Well, apparently PD thinks the error was you thinking linearly.
Yes, that's the shortest distance between 2 points.
Well, how would you measure? How would you measure this drop that they speak of?
Yeah, the
except
8 inches
in a linear fashion.
Yeah. 1 mile. Would that be linear?
I would think so. Yes.
100 meters. Would that be linear?
I would think so. Again, yes.
Half a mile.
Yes.
Linear. 8 inches.
Yes.
2 inches.
Yep.
Half an inch.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, at least when I measure these things, like I've never measured
I've just
a
noticed,
mile.
Kev.
Yeah.
You might be a flat earther because you seem to be thinking that distances are linear. Isn't that weird? That's a flat earth thing, Petey said.
I suppose.
So thanks, Petey. I don't know whether that is flat earth thinking linearly, because I'm not too sure if there's another way of thinking. What's the
Well,
other
especially
way?
when it comes to measurements. When it comes to measurements, I guess maybe everyone's a flat earther. I mean, how would Petey measure a board? I mean, if he's measuring a board, let's say he's measuring out, a 2-meter board.
Oh, this is good as well, right? So this is what I wrote to Petey. Together, we can show the impossibilities of anyone measuring this in magic measurement in reality. If it's not too late, can you add the 100 meters, 200 meters, and 400 meters short numbers in, please? It's so good to have somebody working on the geometry side of this at last. So yeah, I really mean that. Thanks, Petey. And Petey says it's too late for me to add 400 meters, but I will include the GeoGebra link. Or should I do it like that? It's too late for me to add 400 meters, but I will include the GeoGebra link in the activity after upload. You can change the numbers there to suit your needs. I did include the mile and the half mile for imperial. For metric, I used 100 meters and 200 meters. Drop can be measured in reality 2 times the distance, and the drop will be 4 times 4. I can't be bothered doing that. It's so good to have someone working on the geometry side of this at last. Quoting me, GeoGebra is a great tool. You should use it more. If you have any questions regarding my construction, just ask here. I reply. GeoGebra is entirely Euclidean. I think you're very brave for doing this. I've already had a discussion with the flat earthers, and they seem completely unaware of the complications when trying to relate these calculations to reality. Thanks for doing this. People may not understand your reasoning behind this or your approach, but we'll get to the bottom of this with your help. Realising Euclid up next. Strong arm. Blue Marble, I've never seen this one, 9 hours ago. According to you, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich is Euclidean, Bev. I am not too sure. I don't think I've ever mentioned a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But it does exist in reality, so therefore would be 3-dimensional.
I was just going to say, yeah, it might well be.
The logic derived would be entirely, I call it Euclidean, but we're talking about measurements and stuff, really. I think you're Euclid afflicted. I wouldn't say that's a bad thing, knowing the foundations of mathematics, geometry. That's got to be a good thing, right? I'll be doing a stream soon to go over actual real-world measurements of the drop of level from horizontal. Jesse Kozlowski. I told you Blue Marble's got a connection to Jesse Kozlowski. I mean, Jesse Kozlowski might be gone, but Brenda's still around and Blue's around to back him up, like he always has been. Remember the bridge? Remember LIGO?
Mm-hmm.
That's all Blue Marble science supporting Jesse Kozlowski. It's like they're together. Oh, look, he says, I'll be doing a stream soon to go over actual real-world measurements of the drop of level from horizontal. And it's a simple thing to do. Blue Marble Science quote. Provided you have the proper equipment and training.
I wonder what kind of training.
I think Petey hit the nail on the head. Incredulity is the only thing you have. And while you attempt to deny it, you yourself showed the drop of level from horizontal in your now famous Southport to Blackpool video. It's not my video. It's on Geo's. What's he talking about? Doesn't even know what he's talking about. Unless there's another video that we were going on about. Might have been. Because we have been out and done some tests. A lot of tests. Somebody says, why would it be impossible to measure a sphere in reality? Nice. Is that what 8 inches per mile squared is? Is that a measurement of a sphere? Interesting. I don't know. This is, you can draw a sphere in GeoGebra. I guess that's Euclidean too then. Welcome to the globe. Look at
Tis
that.
globe.
Tis globe. You can draw a sphere in GeoGebra. Boom. Thank you very much. Welcome to the
You
globe.
live on a globe.
Tis globe.
You
That's
too
all
live on a
you
globe.
need. If that's all you need, then brilliant. Yeah, everybody knows tis globe, right? Yeah.
Wow.
Farmer's boy. This will always
That's
be
some logic there.
Yeah,
That's some globjic right there. That was good. That last one.
Farmer's boy. A flat earther pretending he's not a flat earther, producing photos that show the earth is curved. I've always said, right, hills and valleys, dead easy to see. You couldn't make it up, but then we don't need to. We have Bev. Well, thanks, Farmer's boy. Yeah, we know that Rumpus isn't going to do anything. Farmer's boy's with his machete wandering around. You don't want that. So fx equals ax squared plus bx equals c is impossible. Did I understand you? That's Shadow Falcon. No, measuring it in reality, Shadow Falcon. That's the impossible part. The relating this fantasy maths to reality. That connection is impossible. Cannot be done. And you guys know this anyway. Jesse knows it. That's why he's not here. Sean Hawkins, shout out the Hawk 666. Why do you keep lying about being a flat earther? Pathological lying is a serious mental condition. Says Sean. We stand with Sean. Come pop round whenever you want, Sean. We'll have a chat. Got something common with Nathan Oakley, because Nathan Oakley said that about me too. You can tell by the way I'm talking. Obvious, isn't it? Revolve it. Earth can only scale to a sphere. Do you mind explaining these apparent newfound physics that dictate the flat planes can only scale to spheres, Tar Muchley? Me to read that again, because most of these things don't really make sense, but obviously the guy that wrote it, it made sense to him, and we may as well read it out again because there might be something we missed. Earth can only scale to a sphere. What's the scale of a sphere? Is there a scale of a sphere? What about a straight line? Can you scale a straight line or a sphere or a triangle? Certain things geometrically, you might have problems. Do you mind explaining these apparent newfound physics that dictate that flat planes can only scale to spheres? I don't know what that means. I think he's getting mixed up between geometry and thinking. He's got a pleonasm in there with a flat plane. I suspect he's a flat earther. Professor Phil. Another not professor. I don't actually blame you for not wanting to be called a flat earther. given that it's synonymous with being called stupid, says the not Professor Phil. However, so is disputing that the Earth is a globe. It is globe. In the face of the overwhelming evidence that it is. Of course, it is globe. You can draw a sphere in GeoGebra. I mean, everybody knows this sort of stuff. Is no less foolish than claiming the Earth is flat. If you think I am wrong about the shape of the Earth, I'm interested in reading your evidence. Okay. Yeah, everybody will see the benefits of Tis Globe at some point. And now this is Blue Marble again. Look at that. He's come back an hour later after his other one. Earth's radius is the only thing required. It's the only thing. It's the only thing you need. It's like you can sustain life with the Earth's radius. You can fertilize crops. Earth radius is the only thing required. Everything else is determined by that. Everything. It is globe. The best part about it is the fact that you can simulate in GeoGebra, that what you can simulate in GeoGebra can and has been verified countless times by actual land surveyors. It's a pity they're not around here. Well, it's a pity they weren't land surveyors to start off with. And it's a pity there will never be any land surveyors to come round here. Particularly when you hear that Nathan Oakley has only one clip of a surveyor saying it's flat. And that's because I asked him to confirm that level has no curvature. There's no other clips anywhere on the internet. Nathan Oakley's all out of luck. And that's why Nathan Oakley has to try and justify content theft of somebody's content on YouTube. Because he's only got one surveyor saying flat. And that's because he replied to me. And I still feel guilty of this day. And I'm never going to talk to any other surveyors on camera ever again. I'm never going to record anymore. Thank you, Nathan Oakley. And thank you, Michael Kahn. Surveyors are real people that do real jobs. They don't need people like you flat earthers misrepresenting them. But Blue Marble says that they've done this, measured this impossible. Like I say, it's impossible. But Blue Marble Science says that land surveyors have done it. I mean, we know that they've not measured it flat. That's one thing we can be absolutely certain of. But if Blue Marble Science says something, it's not as if Blue Marble Science is likely to be lying. After calling people's incredulity into question, it couldn't be him. He says, even amateurs can do it with the right equipment. And in fact, Bev himself did it. Didn't. Not even by accident. When we look at long triangulation lines, you find something odd happening. Mountain peaks that are 1,000 meters higher in elevation than an observer will constantly appear below horizontal. And that's the exact effect you're simulating. I'm looking forward to your video. So he's got another video coming. Oh no, this will be the video that he's watched. Now, he was looking forward to it. PT's reply. Thanks, Blue. Yeah, that's what I do here. Provide the radius and let GeoGebra let me tell me the answers. It turns out that the impossible is indeed possible. So these guys can do it. Jesse Kozlowski said it's measurable. And then he disappeared. He fucked off. Without actually telling them how it was possible or how it was able to be measured. Didn't give them the method or anything. They'll do it, no doubt. Blue Marble Science says he can do it. Petey says he can do it. How could they be wrong? The only impossibility is Bev doing maths correctly, apart from the bit that Petey agreed that I did get correct. So that was an impossibility that was achieved within the video. Thanks, Willie. Augustine, yeah, try thinking. Treating a quadratic function like a linear one. Someone who slept through maths or never attended the classes in the first place. Enough said. Did we treat a quadratic function like a linear one? Or was that just a dig that Petey had? I don't know. Farmer's boy again. Yes, Bev did think quad in quadratic meant you divide by 4. He's that gormless. He's also a flat earther. He just doesn't like admitting it. Farmer's boy's always like this. He's a bit... I think he's got like a boyfriend thing with Rumpus, and he's like Rumpus has had to do a Jesse Kozlowski. I think Farmer's boy blames us for that. Petey says, I thought so. My brain gets fried witnessing the stupidity. Thanks, Petey. Obviously, he won't. Are you seriously claiming that a sphere is logically inconsistent? Jackson. Oh, here's Petey. He gets a chance. They always like to have a go at the on the level crew. So this one's for you guys. What those fine folks would say, folks. That's very flat earth mathy, isn't it? What those fine... I think it's Masonic. What those fine folks would say over on the level is... or is it... It's Masons, isn't it? Not Masonic. No, sorry. Mormons. It's the Mormons that do the folk thing. Did say that the Mormons are the best at representing the globe. Might be PTs with the folk thing. What those fine folks would say at over at On the Level, the Discord server that we're in right now, is reality can't be a sphere because the surface of a sphere is uniform and there are hills and valleys in reality. Similar, it can't be flat like a plane because Earth is bumpy. It took them 4 years to come up with that. I don't think we've ever come up with that. I'm not too sure that's something that we come up with. I think that's what PT came up with. Oh, hey Peak, I can't wait to have a chat with you about this. It's really cool that you aren't one of those just runs and hides. Talk to you soon. Or you can just keep talking smack and pretend that you're not scared. It's up to you. So what do you have in mind? This is, I don't know, this is somebody else, not PT. My experience over the last few years or so has been one of reading content-free comments from flat earthers who, when pressed to quantify effects and observations, just leave the chat, never to return. Duncan says, I was just wondering if PT would like to have a real conversation or just make videos about people that he refuses to have a discussion with. Pretty simple. And that's right. And then PT has quoted, I was just wondering if PT would like to have a real conversation. And it says, and that's why your first 2 posts were were designed to do what now? Starters, you mean to go on, eh? If you'd like to ask about this geometry, then ask here. I'll do my best to answer, though. I thought it was pretty straightforward. Nothing to discuss, really. Bev didn't understand how the drop over 1,600 meters could be around 8 inch and thought it should have been about 16 millimeters. Did he know all along it was about 8 inch, or was he deliberately trying to mislead? I don't know. You know him better than me, or maybe you think the geometry was faulty in some way. I don't know what any of this is, but, well, come on over and have a chat, PT. The Discord's open. You know it's on the level. You're commenting about it. You know where to come. You know you're talking about the people that are in here. Come and have a word with them.
Can't.
No. I enjoy having real conversations. That's all. Have a good one. And then Professor Bill Bell has to go, do you dispute Earth is a globe? Tis globe.
Do you deny?
Do you
deny?
Do you dispute Earth is globe? Tis globe. I mean, how could you? Lol, flat earthers and globe deniers don't know how to do math. Apart from the one that, like, we did, it got 2 inches, so that, at least that was...
The PD had to
correct.
agree.
Yeah.
Said that he got the correct answer, yeah.
And then this is Kuros, you know, this is what PT does, right? PT makes these videos, and then has a go at flat earthers, and then other people can comment and say, yeah, flat earthers are stupid, aren't they? And then PT can go, yeah, they are really stupid, when the video's not about flat earthers at all. It's about a quadratic formula that's been given to a load of people about an impossible measurement to make in reality. And these guys can't see it. But hey, he says, true. And the great thing about GeoGebra is you don't need to know a lot about math. The only math I used here is the method to space the points and their exact distances. Switch the kettle on for us.
Distances.
Yeah.
Exact distances.
Exact distances,
okay.
Yeah.
In GeoGebra.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Somebody says,
okay.
He mightn't think he's a flat earther. I know I'm not a flat earther. So, I mean, but since he's stuck in the mindset of treating the surface of a flat plane, he is one. And will continue to be one, in brackets. I'll sort it. Whether he admits it or not, great job, PT. And PT says, yes, he believes all the things they believe. Look at that. PT, that's PT with a double belief of others. He believes all the things they believe, right? The they, flat earthers, right? So PT knows all of the things flat earthers believe. And he also knows that I believe the things that they believe. I mean...
Has he talked to any flat earthers that you've talked to recently?
He's never talked to me. He's not got a clue. Unless he's been watching the videos, and like we say many times, you don't get a clue about what's going on in the Discord when you're listening to this stuff that we're doing here live. There's a difference. A very, very big difference that I don't think they're ready for yet. And that's why they don't want to come and talk to us. Mainly because the shit's good. Mainly because it involves a real conversation. And these people have a very, very serious case of ECV. Existential cognitive veiling. They will hide reality from themselves the moment it gets too real. And that's what this is going to do. So thank you very much, PT. 8 inches per mile squared. People will be trying to work out how that relates to reality. Whether the 8 inches relates to a vertical and whether the 1 mile relates to a horizontal.
Can I ask another question? I mean, this is all fascinating and everything, but as I recall, you bringing this 8 inches per mile squared up in the first place was because you had listened to an episode of the Ball Busters. There,
Yes.
Ball Buster number 1 QE, and one of the other Ball Busters, Adam Meakin, talk about how the 8 inches per mile squared was somehow wrong. Isn't that right?
Something like that. You know, I do. It's fantasy maths, and if anybody knows me, I don't really listen to the fantasy math stuff. I just don't.
I wonder why Petey didn't go to take a listen to what QE and Adam were talking about on that episode of Ball Busters. I mean, he seems to be ball busting you here, which is interesting because you went in.
I said it was impossible.
Oh, is that why?
I think so. I think that's what's up with Petey. Yeah.
So,
but, I mean,
so by
no
implication, yeah, by implication, then if you're right, that would mean that QE and Adam don't think that that's impossible. QE and Adam Meakin, they'd have to speak for themselves on this, but I mean, if that's the case, the implication is that they would think that this is possible somehow, in reality, to measure this 8 inches per mile squared drop of the vertical. No?
Well, see, the thing about me is when I came into this, being a practical person, you would at least attempt to check it, right? Like that would be the first job of a practical person.
Well, you'd want to question everything, right? I mean, unless you're one of these people who just accepts things, you know, because somebody says it, because a shadow giant says it. But in the years that I've known you, I've never known you to be that type of person. So yeah, it makes perfect sense that you might want to check that out if you were told that.
Well, isn't that the scientific method, right? Somebody makes
well,
a claim
people have
and
claimed that.
Check it out.
Yeah, people have claimed that for sure. But I guess what I'm confused about, honestly, is why the video about you and why not the video about the source of where this came from, which was the Ball Busters. Is there no interest in Petey or Blue or any of these people in what those guys say? I mean, because if you just look at the sheer numbers, I mean, they do like to point out the numbers of videos, right? I mean, our little corner of the internet here and your show that we're doing right now, what do we have right now? 30? Usually we're in the 30s. What do we have right now? 34. I see. 35.
Yeah, we were
watching.
Up to 41. We did.
Yeah.
Well,
that's well. That's a lot, yeah, that's well. But, you know, Nathan and the gang get over 100 views. QE, I think that Ball Busters, when we were watching it, I think they were in the 70s, 50s or 70s. So, I mean, wouldn't it make more sense to go after and take to task, if that's what Petey likes to do? Those guys, why isn't that happening? I wonder if maybe there's a side rule in place and maybe there's something that we don't know. Maybe there's something that's hidden. Now, this could be a conspiracy theory, but perhaps Petey's not going after Nathan and Adam Meakin and QE and the boys because maybe there's simpatico. Anybody ever think about that? Why is it that Blue doesn't go spend days and days and days over at the Flat Earth Debate Discord server? Anybody ever wonder about that? Again, I'm fully admitting that I might be conspiratorial here a little bit. But it does seem weird to me that the great Nathan Oakley and the phenomenally well-endowed with scientific knowledge QE are far more dangerous to the globe. No? I mean, they've got the globe killers, Black Swan, and Celestial Navigation.
Right, we're no threat. It is glad.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's strange to me. I mean, unless how it would make sense is if maybe they're on the same team.
Yeah, well,
and if you're on the same team, you don't want to take down your mates, do you?
Society guys. Because I was looking for the history of this, you know, formula, 8 inches per mile squared. I was under the impression that it led back to Robotham, but Blue Marble Science seems to think that Eratosthenes had it.
And Alberuni, he said, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure about that, but I mean, if they know better than us, right? 8 inches per mile squared, and McToon says it's accurate. So at some point, like Blue Marble Science says, you'd expect somebody would have checked it over, right? Now, this is the killer and the kicker, right? We only found out about this because we were doing a straight line test. And Blue Marble Science seems to come up to us and say, no, you can't have a straight line. It can't be a straight line. And we're saying, but the geometric principles seem to relate to a straight line. I mean, this is a geometric test to show a shared straight line segment. And, you know, Slice Bar Kane said, oh, no, it's a bending. And like we said with the problems of the 16 millimeters of drop with these 16 100 meter water levels, then how do you get that to add up to 8 inches? If a water level is indeed a tool for establishing a horizontal plane. How do you marry those two things up? Now, there's going to be a problem because it takes a little bit of reasoning for you to put these two things together and say, well, if level is horizontal, then, well, you have to find out whether level is horizontal first before you can place if level is horizontal as a lemma, right? You can't place that as a proposition until you actually know it. And is level horizontal? I mean, it might say so in some dictionaries. But what does that count for? I mean, some Blue Marble scientists could say, no, it isn't. I mean, whose weight do you trust more? I mean,
well, if you can go back to if you can go back to Eratosthenes and Al-Biruni, you bring up the shadow giants. I don't know.
Yeah, who do you trust? I mean, I just trust, you know,
myself,
my geometric
usually.
reasoning. Yeah, I trust my geometric reasoning and the test that we've performed to come to the understanding that I can say level is horizontal. I'm certain of it. But, you know, there are Blue Marble scientists that'll come along, like Petey, and say, well, what did Petey say? Something about incredulity, but, I mean, he didn't say much else, did he?
No, I don't see how he in any way proved how you get 2 inches over half a mile and 2 inches over the other half a mile, and suddenly it turns into 8 inches over the mile. Even if you turn it into metrics, it still didn't seem to match. But hey, maybe I'm being incredulous now. I don't know. I guess I am.
Jim West
I'll
in
take
the
that
chat
on.
says level can be horizontal. It can also be vertical.
Can be. Level can be vertical, can it?
Well,
has Jim ever heard of a plumb bob?
Jim West says that you can.
Well, I guess it can then.
Yeah. I mean,
how about anyone
why
else?
Not? Like, why not? Why can't it be vertical?
Well, because if I place my bookshelf vertically, I don't think I can put any books on it.
Yeah, well, if level is horizontal, then it can't be vertical because horizontal can't be vertical. Quite simple, Jim, but I mean...
Or can it?
That may be how far away we are from simple logic, right? The implications of if level is horizontal, then it can't be vertical. I mean, that you could say that without actually knowing whether level is horizontal. You could say if level is horizontal, then it can't be vertical.
It is 2024 though.
I know.
And we all know that some things that aren't that thing can suddenly be something else.
And people don't
Right.
need
We
to
all know
apply
that.
logic, right? Because that, I mean, how far could that date back? Probably before Euclid, even. I mean, how outdated would that be?
Yeah, you'd have to really go back to the ancients. I mean, we could only go back as far as Eratosthenes and Al-Biruni. That's all that's allowed. If you go back to guys like Euclid and Aristotle, Plato, Socrates.
Go back to the first word, right?
Yeah, certainly don't want to go that far to the Logos.
Well,
no.
I mean, how far back would that be? I mean, like, that must be ancient shit. That'd be well
That's
out
pretty far back
now, right? Past its expiry date.
In the context of surface, Jim West says.
Yeah,
level can be vertical in the context of surface.
No.
No, if I put my bookshelf up, the surface of my bookshelf up on the wall, and if I place it vertically, that's not horizontal, nor is it level. It may be plumb. I could give you that, but
wall has
not
a
level
surface. No, your wall has a flat surface. Hopefully.
Yeah,
but
ours don't here in Texas. It's all bumpy. It's got that little texture to it. They call it orange peel.
Yeah, I think, Jim, I don't think we have a similar understanding of what level is. The walls don't have level surfaces, unfortunately. That's one thing that they don't.
Struggling with the words, right? Wittgenstein. Jim West, do a little Wittgenstein, little philosophy. Might find something interesting in there.
Start off at Wittgenstein. We'll get involved with Russell.
It'll be great.
Russell's
no. He's already at Russell. He doesn't even. He may not even know Russell, but he's there already. Trust me. A little Wittgenstein never hurt anybody.
Yeah. It would be nice if people like Petey would come in for a conversation. Right? He only lives down the road. He could probably come and do the Realising Euclid. He could at least come and watch. But, you know, it can't be. So there's going to be a problem, because what we're talking about happening within reality is not a possibility for these guys. And I'm sorry, guys, but we are just talking about reality. We're talking about stuff that can be done in reality, and we're not flat earthers. So there are people that we see out there as we're doing these tests, and they're not flat earthers either. They can agree with us. That's the weird thing. People agree with us. The only people that don't agree are the model afflicted people. And they either use ad homs, slurs, racial things. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter who they're talking to. They can just be bigoted and use their hatred against this group of people that they consider others. When we're just people living in reality who, hopefully, fingers crossed, aren't going to go mad by model affliction. Yeah, you don't have to assume anybody's a flat earther or a glober. Like, just get rid of it now, because there's no way of you knowing. You can literally go into these rooms where you know there are flat earthers and globe earthers. They're all model obsessed. And you can strike up a conversation And within 5 or 10 minutes, you won't know who's a glober and who's a flat earther. And I mean that, you can't tell.
No. Those lines have so blurred that's part of what's so hysterical about them all saying that you're a flat earther. Because those lines have completely blurred. As evidence from the premiere earlier today. It's crazy. By the way, did you see what's in the live chat? Askin posted something interesting. This must be from a video. Says, the earth is not flat, but level is horizontal. Wake your dumb ass up, please.
Yeah.
And a reply from someone to that says, I said in an previous comment that level can work horizontally and vertically and also on a curve.
See,
what do you think about that?
That's a violation of both the law of identity and the excluded middle and the law of non-contradiction. Because horizontally will contradict vertically because they're antonyms. So it can't be both. And the excluded middle would be the curve between the horizontal and the vertical. So that would encompass everything. That's about as big a diletheist as you can get. Crazy. But I mean, that's what we're used to. I'm used to that sort of an answer. I couldn't even tell, right, if that person was a troll or not. Because that could be just a troll wanting to time waste, right? It can be anything. It could be somebody at the end of a ECV line just willing to say anything to get out of it. Because then they could laugh and say, I got a flat earther today. You should have seen what I was saying to him, to all of the mates. When it's just a nonsense. And that's what we have to deal with today. I think the model affliction has led people into this nonsense.
Yeah, more in the YouTube chat. Jim West says level and flat are synonymous. No. No.
No, and I'll tell you why. We went over this on Nathan Oakley. Brian's Logic was doing it. There was quite a few of us telling him this. Let me get a clip. Oh. I should be putting it in here somewhere. This is the argument that I made for this. It's the last picture I added, actually. There you go, in the live chat. Pretty sure I've shown this to people. This is the flaw within the synonym argument. And I was trying to tell Nathan Oakley this too. And I'm not too sure they got the final implication, right? So, if you state that level, horizontal, and flat are synonyms, P, then flat and vertical are antonyms. Right? That's just the statement that occurs. Then you can say from that, if you measure a change in the vertical, then it cannot be level, horizontal, or flat because it changes in the antonym. And because the antonym is an opposite, it cannot be horizontal. So by implication, a measurement in the vertical negates the flatness that you've just placed within a synonym. So you are burying yourself with your own synonym within the argument that you framed within calling the synonym. Nathan Oakley can't hear that. he started doing the talking and yapping, so I couldn't get to the end implications of it. Seems flat earthers are unaware of the ability to use the logical process to derive a conclusion. I don't know how they can miss out on this. The beauty's within the logic. If you place the logic within a statement like this, it's pretty easy to see that any measurement of the antonym would negate the flatness because they're opposites. It cannot be flat. I mean, there's many ways you can derive not flat. This is one of them. But when it ends up like this, it's within their own argument. They make their own demise within their own statement. It's a self-refuting argument. But as it's become apparent, it is 2024 and people can't reason on their own. Not even when they're shown it multiple times. Like Nathan Oakley said today, he needs to be told things 9 or 10 times. But even then, it doesn't go into that processing where the reasoning takes place. It just gets put in the remember this, repeat mantra. There's no reasoning involved in it with what Nathan Oakley's talking about. That's how you can rid yourself of belief with no proof. Nathan Oakley's scared to admit that, and I think there's quite a few people out around about unable to admit that they don't actually have proof. They only have belief and a lot of faith. Yeah, it was pretty sad today. But, you know, it's better me being over there and Nathan Oakley berating me than, you know, some of his, you know, fans stuff. I mean, they'll be able to see what he's like and won't have to actually be the people who are getting the attack. So, you know, if you do want to say something to Nathan Oakley and you feel a little bit, you know, you don't want to say it, drop us a bell in the Discord. Come into the thingy. I'll, you know, I might be able to pass it on. I'll do it. And it doesn't need to go through you. I'll not do the thing about it. I don't want to slander Nathan. You know, he's doing a job. He's doing what he has to do. He's a flat earther. He's got to push this ridiculous idea of a debate because he was imagining that he was debating me. And yes, he may sort of advocate for content theft on YouTube, being a YouTube creator. You know, it's hard times. He has to do whatever. He even said that he'd offer to pay how much money I lost. And I had to point out to him that I don't put advertisements. I don't monetize my videos. So it's not about that, Nathan. It's about people just robbing my content and uploading it as their own, which is what Michael Kahn did. But Nathan Oakley thinks that you should go to the police station for it. It's... I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I think there's... obviously, it's 2024. People's minds are at risk because we've just gone through a really stressful time. And people are struggling with money now. obviously people like Nathan Oakley need to support family that he has or whatever. He's under stress, and most people are trying to help out, particularly on YouTube, right? Content creators do well. I think he got some good super chats today. I don't know how much money he made, but he read out a few super chats, probably more than most. That might have been because he was shouting at me. They, his fans might like that. They might have, sent him some money to have a go at me. Ask me questions about stuff. I hope he does well out of it. Dear Paige. Yeah, he did say copyright theft isn't theft. Nathan Oakley doesn't think it's actually content theft if people steal your content and upload it on their own YouTube channel as their own. Nathan Oakley, he doesn't mind about that. He doesn't mind about it because the surveyor said it's flat when I asked him about level. That's disgusting. But yeah, that's some of the sort of things that you have to expect from flat earthers. Well, I mean, those flat earthers, right? The flat earthers that struggle to have a conversation. Yeah, Paige. He gets pretty defensive, and I'm sorry for it, but some of the things that you have to deal with, right? I mean, we're just a small group of people who go out and do practical tests. It upsets Nathan Oakley and Blue Marble Science just about as much. There's not much difference between the two.
Phew. I've been fixing my tumble dryer, so I've been listening along, but so I was a bit behind. Yeah, the funny thing today for me when I listened to Nathan, they were kind of discussing measuring the Earth flat and going through their reason. He's saying, tell me what it is. And Brian stepped up and said, look, I'm not. I don't agree with the measuring the Earth flat angle, but it's your show, and I'll go along with it, which is a bit of a strange thing, really. But so he asked him to explain, and he said, well, it was true, in his opinion, it was true that you could measure the Earth flat, except until it came to surveying, and then that wasn't true because you measure an elevation change, and well, they do say it's the Earth they're measuring flat. It's not, it's not the sea. That's for sure. And Nathan was a bit confused about it, and couldn't quite understand what he meant because he's fixed on sea level, and where sea level has been established, he thinks is horizontal and inverted commas flat. That's so, and that's the same. That's true all over the world, whatever that might be. Wherever there's any water and sea, that all has the same sea level. And he seems to be of that opinion, and that makes everything flat. And well, sea level is a point on a vertical datum, as you'd say. Well, that's true, but it's only a measure of the level of the sea. It's not establishing the horizontal, as far as I understand. It's just saying, well, the sea goes up and down, and over a long time, they made a decision that the average point was where they decided it was, of the level of the sea going up and down. So, I don't see that as a horizontal. Or that if you go on the sea, you're automatically at sea level and you're on the horizontal, with the sea bobbing up and down and maybe 40-foot waves or whatever, that somehow, no matter where you are on the sea, that you're automatically on sea level. It's flat, it's horizontal, as far as you can see. But he was confused about the surveying thing, and he said to Brian, "Well, I can't really get it. I don't really understand, and I'm going to have to think about this." And as you said, he's going to have to think about things sort of 8 or 9 times, and so he was going to go away and think about it because he's not really clear about it. And I think that's, for me, is kind of when he said a while ago that he used to get bombastic in the beginning and shouty because he wasn't very confident in what he was saying and what he was just in his beliefs. He wasn't confident in that, and I think he still isn't confident, and that's what his shouting is about. And but as soon as he came to speak to you, Bev, he knew everything about how the Earth was measured flat. And he argued to the nth degree about it.
Well, that was the only point I came in, right? Because he did that chat with Brian, and then John decided to say that I copyright struck Michael Kahn.
Yeah.
And then I had to come in because he said that, right? I had to represent the reason why I copyright struck him. And then Nathan seemed to get offended and gain a knowledge about surveying.
Well, that was because that linked to the video that Michael Kahn stole off you, and represented his own work, basically.
Yeah.
And as you pointed out, you don't monetize your thing. I just wanted to make it, oh, well, I was going to pay you your 12p fee you would have got from YouTube that you lost. It's just being patronized, of course. But it wasn't about that. But that's how I then got onto that subject, because simply because a surveyor said a banned word, basically.
Well, no, it's just he got excited by that word, right? It's not banned. It's just that
it is in this.
The surveyor used that word because I asked him to confirm there was no curvature to level. Right now, there were many other words that he could have used, and this is one of the reasons that I'm not going to do that again, because that guy answered a question to me about level, right? Not curving. Nathan Oakley now is representing all surveyors as measuring the Earth flat, because this one surveyor said the word flat in response to me.
Yeah.
Now that's fucking dishonest, right? That needs to be sorted and stopped, because no surveyors are ever going to talk to anybody about that. Every surveyor, whenever they hear surveyors measure it flat, they're just going to say no. And Nathan Oakley's going to be responsible for that.
Yeah.
And also, he's going to make me responsible for it too. I feel like I've got a duty to stick up for the surveyors and say, Nathan Oakley's a dishonest flat earther, misrepresenting a profession of people.
Yeah.
Just because he's got a vendetta, Nathan Oakley, he's got a problem, not the surveyors.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that. I mean, it's not a banned word. It was kind of a joke kind of thing, Bunny ears, banned word, because in this arena, if you say flat in the wrong place, then
people like Nathan Oakley will misrepresent.
Yeah. And because people out in the world use different words, but he was then wanted to try and pin you down that the surveyor was measuring the land, and that wasn't mentioned at all. The guy had his level, I imagine, and he was just eyeing through it, and you came along and asked him about level, because you were doing this little study for your son, and that's he's actually said it was vertical. Well, we call it vertical. It's the measurement on the vertical. He wasn't even going to go to horizontal or level or any other word he might describe it with. So that's what he was talking about, establishing the horizontally was establishing. And he never asked him about the land. was never about the Earth or anything. It was just, horizontal's horizontal, isn't it, mate? Yeah, for sure. That's it.
I
You
even
just yeah,
giggled in it because I felt ridiculous saying it to him.
yeah.
But I was
And
doing
now
it. I was doing it for my son, right? Because I was sort of
Yeah.
saying that, like, we are doing this project, and I'm still doing it, right? The strange thing about that was that I got a chance to say that to Nathan today, and the conversation that we had about that is still part of this study. Because Nathan Oakley literally thinks now that level being a horizontal plane, he thinks that's how you measure the Earth flat.
Yeah.
So that the extremities of the pain that's caused by level being horizontal, it's vast amongst the scope, right? This study that we've done into level horizontal is well, I mean, probably the most extensive study that anybody's done. I mean, they say we've done nothing, but I mean, over the last 4 or 5 years, we've got arguments, we've got tests, we've got thought experiments, we've got, well, more than anybody, really. But people want to call us names and say we're mental, say we're stupid, like literally ad homers. Anyone, it doesn't really matter. Everybody, because these people within this arena, and I mean the Flat Earth Society guys, the Blue Marble scientists, Rumpus, Farmer's Boy, you name it, all of those guys, the Australians, Timbo Turtle, the entire crew, all of those people, and Vlad, who are these other ones? Nathan Oakley, QE, Arwin, you name them. They're all the same. They all act exactly the same. And all we've got is a test in reality and the ability to talk to people.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that today, what you said about, it seems that Nathan thinks that if you can establish a horizontal reference, that the Earth has to be flat to do it. And the Earth has to be horizontal. That's ridiculous. You can establish that whatever the lay of the land is. I mean, if you're transferring, say, from Newlyn or from an established datum point, and you're transferring that level, then you are referencing from there and making horizontals from there and doing differential leveling and moving on into the country and measuring elevation change. But you're carrying that with you. But simply to establish a horizontal has got no reference to sea level or anything at any point you do it. The Earth doesn't need to be horizontal flat under an auto level. It's, and I thought that today, oh, that's what you think. That's what you've tied it all to. Yeah. And somehow that sea level is a horizontal measurement. That was another point I kind of thought, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. It's just, sort of aha moments thinking, oh, wow, that's where you are. That's kind of where you're holding on to. Yeah.
Well, you only reference one point to another, right? Within elevation markers, right? That's all you're doing.
Yeah.
Within triangulation, you're referencing 2 or more points, right? To the point that you're at. There's a triangulation involved with distances, but with elevation changes, it's literally just 1 point reference to the next point, point to point.
Yeah.
And Nathan thinks when you do that, the tool that you use to establish how you reference one to the other, he thinks that makes the Earth flat. Well, it doesn't. I think most people can see that, quite obviously it doesn't. And most people wouldn't care. They'd say, it just doesn't matter, it's a flat earther. Well, this flat earther is the one that's actively calling me and my friends here on the level an entire Discord group. I mean, Nathan Oakley's literally a bigot. And he said, I have social problems. Well,
that was crazy because he was kind of screaming, at the top of his voice and ranting and shutting you down and saying, do you need psychiatric help? It was just like, you what? That was really amusing, if anybody needs psychiatric help. And also, the claim that, that you and others were doing a character assassination on him. Just because
I don't know
this has
whether
been
that was
pointed out.
implied. I don't think Brian was meaning us.
Well, yeah, your name was put to it, but there you go. But well, whatever. If you don't want to go with that, but the venom with which Nathan, attacks you or me or anybody else who might say that, even his own followers, that's pretty destructive. The other day, I jumped in on him because I was listening to his Discord and one of his. I didn't know. I never heard of the guy before, and I never heard him speak. But they were talking about a subject that Nathan didn't agree to him. But he was battering this guy into the ground with his, shouting at him and telling him he was a retard and worse. It was just nobody said anything, and the guy was going to take it. I just jumped in and said, "You're just a bully, man. Stop it. What the hell are you doing?" And these people sitting by it, you'll be next. Sit by and be quiet. But, when you speak up, you'll be next to be shouted down. And this guy said, I've been with him since the beginning and, he's lost a friend today. And, what was being spoken about amongst others, it seems there's quite a few who think that and know what's going on and are affected by it. But maybe it's just because it's his show and they go, oh, well, it's, you do it how you want to do it. But at the same time, if you align yourself with that, then surely you're kind of supporting it too. So I don't really get that. I don't get that kind of way of selling your product or dealing with people and speaking to people like that. I don't understand what the purpose of that is. Except, people are just going to learn how to do that themselves. And that's why I see reflected people. If you speak to people, as people come out of the shadows and call you all sorts of names. And yeah, it's just madness. This morning, just going and talking about these short numbers and this half-mile distance to people. It was manic. Just total madness. And as you said, you couldn't tell who was a flat earther and who was a glober. And maybe that's because it's you and it's focused on you and they just want to shut you down. Everybody, it seems. Just asking what to me seems simple questions and I think lead to something more opens, a further step along the way. But yeah, oh well, people don't want to know it. You can't, as you say, you can't give it to them. But when you got it, they can't take it away either. So I'm, like you're happy with what you've got, and I'm happy with what I've got. And it's well, it's up to other people what they want to do. But I don't think all this shouting and abuse and silencing
the animosity
people
between people with differing opinions about things.
Yeah.
And the discussion
and
about the proofs and the arguments. I mean, they should be able to be discussed without the combativeness that it's just not needed, in my opinion. But I think these people do need it. I mean, they've had it for years. The paracosm that they've built up. It's quite obvious that, we're not really part of it. But, we are around here, right? Because these people are the ones that get stressed out by the things that we say. It's not really our fault that we're living in reality and, the people that are obsessed with us talking about reality are these model afflicted people. And it doesn't really matter what model they've got. They all seem to have a problem with reality for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, lots of these things I honestly I hadn't thought about in any particular detail 3 months ago, 2 months ago, you know. But things are becoming, that adds up. Yeah. I mean, that too, that thing this, half-mile distance, when I first heard you talk about it, and I think today was the second time, something clicked in place, it wasn't like something I had to kind of think long about. It just was logical and made sense to me. So, it made a lot of other things clear in the whole geometry of it, the maths of it, the likelihood it could even be possible. So I don't know. I guess I don't know, I'm not special or anything, but I imagine that other people would see it too.
Well, yeah, it's one of those things, right? That I have this thing: don't talk of the not that. But
Yeah.
every now and again, with this sort of thing, showing somebody how impossible this is may have a benefit. I don't know. I mean, you can see that with some people it might click, but other people have a fight, and maybe that's because it's me that's saying it. Maybe it might be different if somebody else attempts to say it, but the end outcome would still be the same. You'd still be talking about something that's impossible to apply to reality. And the reason it's impossible is because they're drawing a circle. They've got tilting verticals. PT showed that.
Yeah.
You can't do that in reality. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. As you kind of picture in your mind doing it in reality, or actually doing it in reality, picture, doing that half mile and then going another half mile from there. How could it not be? Well, that's if you found the 2 inches at all, you'd be measured elevation change over a half a mile. So it could be anything. Depends where you are and where you're going from A to B on. But
well, that was the thing, right? Because our introduction, we were talking about a water level test and, how they have a problem with the drop and the hump. And then along comes this test that Slice Barkane's doing. And he's got 1,600 meters. And we were like, whoa, that's like a mile. Imagine how much kit you'd have to have for that. There's a lot of piping and tubing to be putting in your shed, to be taken out and dealing with it. I mean, we had 400 meters and we got it down to on a little hose reel.
Yes, it's quite a lot there.
Yeah, well, I mean, Slice Barkane had bigger pipe and he had a lot more. Like a lot more. So he had a lot of stuff. His, the equipment and stuff. When I think it was about £3,000 his GoFundMe that he had for it. He got a P1000 when it first came out, and all of this piping and the connectors and all sorts of stuff. Got a video. You can go back and look at it. But that's 1,600 meters right now. For an auto level, you would be able to say 50 meters. It's it's a sight. But if you would put an auto level in the middle of these 100 meter things, you could measure an equal altitude on the water levels.
Yeah, double check it.
And you could do that all in between every one of the 16 100 meter water levels.
Yeah.
There would be no drop. So you wouldn't have any. So that was the point that we were talking about, because we had a test about a straight line. Slice Barkane couldn't talk to us about it. Nobody can talk to us about it. No one. Nobody can talk to us about the Realising Euclid test that we did. And this is where people start dropping off, because nobody wants to hear it. I'm not gonna just put it out there, because you know what happens. You want to know? Come into the Discord. It's only for serious people. This can seriously damage you. People don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear the ability of people to have proofs in reality. It's stressful for them. They get troubled. They have to switch off.
Yeah, there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of people drinking as well. I don't know whether that's part of it or whether it's some entertainment, but there's a hell of a lot of drunken people on Discord. Particularly in the morning, because you're then at late night or early hours of the morning in the States or in other parts of the world. So maybe they've sat up and it's night time and they've been drinking, but that doesn't help really. People are slurring and getting carried away with alcohol at the same time.
Well,
but you can hear
arena,
that madness. Yeah, and whatever you might measure as rabbit ears damage. People who are damaged by it. For the amount of time they concentrate on it, really.
Well, I've always said that of all of the things, this is probably one of the most damaging to the mind.
Yeah.
Because some of the things that you have to take on within this literally breaks your mind. Broken. Exploded logic.
Yeah, I think if you don't have the ability to let go, that's I could see that could be very difficult. If you can't let go of something or anything, if you don't hold on to it too tightly in the first place, it's much easier to let go of it and just consider, just kind of hold something. If you've got a decision between two things, not just talking about this, these choices, anything, and you're able to hold one in each hand and look at them and just observe them without being either one of them. If there's a decision to be made, to try and detach yourself from those and not cling so hard to one that the other one that might seem enticing and more interesting, you don't have the ability to let go of the one you're holding on to and reach out for something more enlightening or better, that might help you grow. It's quite a difficult thing. I can see how people are tied to models and ideas and all sorts of things in life.
I think the tribal idea as well definitely comes into play, and like when somebody like us, right, the on the level crew, right, go over to anywhere, then the tribal instincts of these two warring groups are they're friendly enough, right, to turn on anyone else together, because at least they're friendly enough with each other, built up relationships with their Scott McKays and Xanax. Familiar faces that you don't want to lose, because they're the ones that get conversations started with the nutters. And that's never going to change, right? That's part of the flat earth arena, but it's not the part of the flat earth arena that Nathan Oakley knows, or QE.
No, it's much more insular. And I noticed that today. There was a discussion had been going on about this 8 inches per mile squared, and then after this, the larger discussion gone on, and people were talking amongst themselves, kind of, well, what were they going on about? Or I don't really understand why people say that. And they were asking about this, amongst themselves about this, 10 or 12 of them, about, the 8 inches per mile squared, the equation, the calculation. And they were trying, saying, well, how is it? How does it work? How do you apply it? And nobody knew. And they were in a server it's Nathan's server, so, or, FED server, and they didn't know at all how to apply or what it really meant. They knew 8 inches per mile. They knew it over a mile, it was 8 inches, and that was it really. But to make any calculations beyond that, nobody knew. I mean, I guess there's some people who do know, but they obviously weren't around. They had to Google it and drop it in the chat. And I thought, wow, you're central to this group of people, and you haven't got a clue about these what seem to me to be fundamentals. And so I kind of thought, hey, you're just believing, you're just following, and not even looking at the detail. Yeah, it's 8 inches per mile. Can you see the curve? Where's the curve? Can you measure the curve? And just repeat some scripts, and can't really back up with any detail or why they really think that. And I think that's when it turns to ad homs and shouting at you and swearing at you and shutting you down, or you call for somebody else to hand over the baton to who's a bit more proficient at you than you are at the story or whatever.
Well, like Nathan Oakley became proficient in surveying methods.
Yeah.
After knowing nothing, he just stated that he knew nothing about it, and then he professed that he knew more than somebody who's got a certificate for it.
Yeah.
Studied it.
And like I says, he's never used a sextant, and he talks, and most people don't. I've spoken to a lot of people in the last week or two, and absolutely none of them have ever used a sextant. I don't think most of them haven't even seen one. Maybe a picture, not a real one, even in a box. And but they've got all this knowledge supposedly about it that they read somewhere, but I have no idea what it's for, what the actual function of it is. And it's certainly not a surveying tool for measuring the Earth, that's for sure. But I don't really have a clue about it. That's kind of interesting too. A funny thing, because Nathan says, seems to stress that it's a life-saving aid, the sextant. I don't quite know where he's made this connection, whether something's happened in his life that he's connected life-saving with a sextant. But
a circle. Yeah. Did you hear that?
Oh no, that was
things you can do with an angle. Right. Not only life-saving, but you can draw a circle.
With a sextant?
With an angle.
With an angle?
Yeah. You can save lives and draw a circle. These are the list of things that Nathan Oakley can do with just an angle. Save lives at sea and land, I presume. I don't think he's specific about that. Saving lives and drawing circles. I said that's amazing because I thought an angle was like a portion of a circle. But apparently, you can complete the circle with an angle.
Yeah, I did say something to Blue Marble about, the life-saving qualities of the sextant. And he said, yes, you could use the eyepiece to start a fire if you needed to start a fire, or you could break a bit off and sharpen it into a spearhead. And then somebody I asked today about, I was just mentioned about the life-saving qualities of a sextant, and he said, well, let me tell you this scenario. What about if a man came with a gun and he came and he threatened to kill you? If you had a sextant, you could use it and you could hit him with it. This is miles away from the use of a sextant. He's got somebody threatening to kill him and he's going to hit him with a sextant. And that's, well, maybe, whoever you said, was it Adam you said was selling sextants or whatever? Maybe that's the only use they got at them.
10th man, I'm pretty sure he was a salesman, right? And I'm pretty sure He had one last contract with Sexton Manufacturing Company, and they did well that year. They did very well. A lot of people bought sextants.
Yeah. But one thing this guy couldn't tell me was what the sextant was actually used for, apart from measuring an angle. I says that, yes, it measures an angle. I said, oh, okay. So you measure an angle, put it back in the box and go home. Great. Is that what you do? You know, he didn't want to say what its actual function was, which is to find a approximate position of a vessel on the sea.
No.
And it is approximate.
No, save a few lives and
Save
draw a circle or two.
And it is approximate. It can be a a large area that you could be in. You can mark on a chart and say, well, I'm within that triangle. If you're triangulating off some building along the coast or a lighthouse and a church or whatever, you might triangulate your position and say, the boat is in this triangle, or the boat is within this circle. Could be 20 miles, across this circle. It's just an approximate, so I don't run aground and I don't, you can chart your way across wherever you're going. Yeah. But it's no way it's a surveying tool. Couldn't measure the earth flat with it. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just imagining all this stuff.
Well, it's within this paracosm, right? Most of the stuff you'll find, and I know everybody listening to us is probably already within the paracosm. This is why it's never going to get out of this arena, because people aren't aware of the bullshit that you have to take within this arena. It's almost as if you have to accept some nonsense definition just because that's what they use. You have to take these on, and if you don't agree to it, well, Nathan Oakley will call you a retard or spastic, or that you need to go for mental, I don't know. I mean, he became a doctor, nurse, psychiatrist. I don't know. Like he was all sorts today.
It was like Monty Python. I did laugh. I was sad that I got chucked out in silence. I couldn't even listen, because it was.
Yeah,
I find it quite gripping.
They did that,
it's
didn't
quite
they?
amusing.
They put the deafen on you.
Yeah. So I couldn't even hear. Yeah, I couldn't hear or speak, which was pretty annoying. But whatever. They did later, but that was after, Nathan had left the meeting hall or wherever they were gathered. Just so I couldn't even listen. And I only, that was only because he was said that nobody understood what you were talking about when he was talking about this meeting this surveyor on the street and saying that inquiring about horizontal and level, and Nathan was trying to pin it to the ground and said, nobody understands what you're talking about, and he had several people jumping in and shouting from the peanut gallery, and I thought, well, I understand. And that's what I wanted to say. I didn't want to get into a big thing. Just say, well, actually, I understand what's being said here. We're talking about the horizontal the guy was establishing. No land was mentioned, no ground. Didn't say what he was doing. He could have been surveying anything, or just establishing something for something that was going to be sold, a building that was going to be sold, or anything. And it didn't mean he was needed to measure elevations particularly. He could have been doing anything really, but it was just about that, no land. And I just wanted to say, well, actually, I understand. You might say nobody understands, but I understand what's going on. But he said, what are you doing? Well, he's actually worked out now how to operate Discord. I did watch on the YouTube later and saw him pick my name out, and a list dropped down where he could mute So he's just finally discovered how to do it. Anyway, that was yeah, it was a bit of a pity, but it is what it is.
Blue Marble's posting things he's got from McToon's website. You can tell because they're all highlighted in yellow and just clipped out.
A holy source of information.
Yes.
It's amazing how many people do.
Says that, yeah, it says that it's different, right? But in reality, it's not. As shown by the formula of the thing that you're dealing with. It's just a drop. The elevation is measured as a drop or raise from the horizontal that you establish from a tool called a level. Pretty simple. We're saying 'tis globe, but that's what happens in reality. That's how you prove the globe, guys. Is it not? Would that not be how you prove the globe? In reality, to measure this thing that's measurable. Like, we know that the elevation changes are definitely measurable with these tools. And that happens everywhere, right? Everywhere where the surveyors are, they're measuring elevation changes. Simple as that. I guess Nathan Oakley measuring it flat is what these guys are talking about. Maybe. Or maybe there's a difference between what Nathan Oakley's talking about and what these guys are talking about. Whereas I say, in reality, we measure the elevation changes of the land and it's not flat. So it seems to be there's, you know, a few different understandings. Now, because I've actually studied surveying, and I know I've actually measured elevation changes. I've plotted points to make a map. Actually done the measurements. It's not flat. But as far as I know, level and horizontal, well, a level is the tool and it establishes a horizontal plane. People seem to be saying something different. Nathan Oakley says you measure it flat. We say, how? And I'd say the same to these guys. They're coming up with what we call an impossible formula. And how do you measure it? I know Jesse Kozlowski isn't around here anymore, but you could at least get Brenda to come over. Someone at least. Someone with a strong jawline. I don't know whether you call it a strong jawline. Similar jawline. If we could find somebody with a similar jawline to Jesse Kozlowski that may sound a little bit like Jesse Kozlowski. Do you want to hear it again? Here we go. Still on DP's memes. Should be able to get to these a lot quicker, shouldn't I? I should get them on the soundboard, perhaps. Might have to do that.
Drops away.
Here we go.
The level surface.
It does sound like, I'm pretty sure. I mean, if you didn't know any better, you'd say, is that Brenda?
Yeah.
The level surface drops away, drops down from the horizontal plane at a rate of 8 inches times the distance in miles squared.
Doesn't it sound like Brenda? That's Jesse Kozlowski. That was Jesse Kozlowski. Probably an old character. He might have changed characters. You never know. Don't think he's going to come back, though. I think that's one of the things that's been established. Jesse Kozlowski isn't going to come back. And neither's Jeff. Because I think Jeff's still around. Somewhere. One of the characters around here. You'll know him when you see him. What you have to remember with the surveying books, section 33. Always remember section 33. And then you'll be fine. You'll be able to just sort of forget about it and carry on. Dead easy to do that.
Yeah, there's the guy in the chat. He's just spent the last few days over at FED in the chat, I think.
Protothad. Yeah, he's the Celestial Navigation Wing of the Flat Earth Society. They won't let it die. You know, it's because it's supported by 10th Man. Protothad came along because you realise that once you've got it, in order to sell something that's a nothing, you need a protothad to come along, you know, to learn a counter argument, to keep people interested in the thing that they imagine that they're doing. But the difference between the two different camps is that the globe model do just measure an angle. Literally, just an angle. Whereas, you know, like Nathan Oakley gets offended because they have a full triangle. They magic a triangle. Yeah. Whereas the globe guys don't. Just have an angle. And they do some what we call Alberuni magic. You know what the Alberuni magic is? Do you not know? Yeah, Elderbear.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh.
You know what the Alberuni magic is? That, you know, the globe guys, right? Nathan Oakley uses an angle to generate an entire triangle, but he won't admit it. He draws circles and saves lives, right? But they do have a triangle, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, do you know what the Alberuni trick is that the globe guys do? Because they just have an angle. Do you know how to do the...
Well, he has an angle from the mountain to the horizon.
Yeah, but what did he do? How did he do his bish bash bosh magic trick?
I don't know. You have to.
It's called internalizing the angle. It's a geometric trick where you measure an angle externally, and then obviously you've got a monad. You hand off that angle to the monad. You go, there you go, boom. Geometric trickery. That's the Alberuni magic that the globe guys do. So when we say, you know, you can do a call with an angle, that includes imagining a monad and internalizing it, placing the angle at the place you can't get to.
Right.
It's clever, because a lot of people have accepted it. In fact, if you've got a, you know, certain model affliction, you'll welcome it. It's the only way you can derive your model from those sort of things. Internalizing the angle. One of the many things that Nathan Oakley's not even thought of yet. everybody does different things in order to justify a model. It probably sounds a little bit weird, and eventually you'll get it. I think I've got a little GIF. Might help you.
Yeah, it's it does sound very weird because I'm thinking about when all this came into being. That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, how did we get here?
Yes, how did we get here?
It's just people like the blue marble scientists working away that they can imagine something, you know, like the curve calculator, right?
Yeah.
It's just a way of calculating how much curve you'd have to put into level for you to imagine you live on a ball. A minute, that's all the curve calculator is. It's like a pacifier.
Yeah.
And they've been doing it for years. Most of these guys. Here you go. Here's the GIF. Check that out. That's how you internalize the angle. Because there's all of the similar angles. They're all marked. And you can place any one of those angles from any of those positions, any one of the other positions, because that's how geometry works. So one of those angles could be Al-Biruni measuring an angle, but they're the same as, well, all of the angles marked are all the same angle. Similar angles make similar triangles. You can see where all of the right angle triangles are. Protothad. He was big with Nathan Oakley. He used to make videos about the celestial navigation, you know. But troubling people who don't really understand what you can do with just an angle. And two differing groups who imagine that they can both do something different with that just an angle. Allows you to understand they're just making it up between each other. Come to an agreement. Protothad. That's what you need, isn't it? Somebody telling you to go out into the real and go and do some stuff in the reals. It always works really well for the Discord group. If you do want to come in and listen to endless diatribe of people with model affliction going round and round and round in circles about things that they've never actually done, and they'll say, oh, well, I have done celestial navigation. For what? To work out where McToon is for one of his little challenges to prove that flat earthers can't do something. Irrelevant. It was 10th Man that brought the celestial navigation shit into this, and it's fucking ancient. If there is anything that's sort of out of date for modern times, you can guarantee it's celestial navigation. Not Euclid, not mathematics, not logic, not reasoning. No. celestial navigation. It's a load of bullshit. It's no good you can tell me you can get to Australia because you just jump on a plane. It doesn't require celestial navigation. In fact, how much stuff nowadays does actually require celestial navigation? According to Nathan Oakley, measuring the Earth flat doesn't even need celestial navigation. You just need a tool called a level that establishes a horizontal plane. You can then imagine that you've measured the Earth flat. Nathan Oakley, 2024. I don't understand. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff within this arena that I can't work out why flat earthers are doing it anyway. Because I don't know. They must be short on content. Notice that they're struggling, going downhill, losing some viewers. Yeah. Well, there's some new conversations coming. Well, new to this arena, obviously. But what you have to do is you have to drop the model. Otherwise, I don't think you're ever going to get out of, I call it a vicious cycle. Round and around and around that only leads to hatred of the other. And the more you do, and the more you get into this false dichotomy, the more you'll see the other in everybody else. And that's not good, because I think people are going to need each other. They need to be able to communicate with people. False dichotomy isn't going to help anybody, because that's just divisive. We need to stop it before it goes too far. So if anybody does want to come in and have a conversation, I promise you, we're not like those other bits. You're not going to get anybody acting like Nathan Oakley in on the level. You're not going to get any hardcore flat earthers pressuring you for, I don't know what. You won't get any globe earthers pressuring you for matching their curvature either, because it's a load of bullshit. Nobody gives a shit about it in here. Apart from the guys in the text, but obviously, you know, people do like to have this sort of conversation. There's a certain element to the people within this arena that like to do the text stuff. But with the advent of ChatGPT, how much can you trust people who text in anything? It could just be, you could just be talking to ChatGPT. You could be part of a chain of people using ChatGPT. Mishu saying sorry about the text. Don't worry about it. People like doing it. And I know there's people who do it all day. It's just something to do, something to keep the mind active, something to challenge yourself, something to improve your rhetoric. But the true test is within voice, to be able to have that rhetoric, to be able to communicate certain points with people, can only be done in voice. And you can only test yourself in voice as well. Text is a different matter. Yeah, Protothads. Yeah, please do. Go and ask some surveyors if level is the same as horizontal. Please do. There's no need to record it. Just get them to show you how they measure elevation changes to relocate a benchmark from a known position to an unknown, making the unknown known. Don't ask them about the shape of the Earth, though. That won't prove anything. Ask them what they do. People always would like to talk about what they actually do. Don't hassle them about measuring the Earth, or what shape they think the Earth is, or how stupid they think flat earthers are. I mean, that's not a topic that surveyors want to get involved in. At least I don't think they are. I can't see the point in talking to surveyors about flat earthers. It's ridiculous. Pretty active. It has become a lot more active just recently because, well, I'm guessing because, well, it's one of those cycles that we're going round, and this cycle particularly is the same cycle as when we started, really. Somebody challenges you. Level is horizontal. Is it? What about if somebody says it can't be? It's not. But the dictionaries say it is. Somebody says, well, dictionaries, not the dictionaries. They're just not right. I mean, how could the dictionaries be possibly right? People wanting definitions of things off people. Did he just post a LIGO thing? I hope not. Straight line. Protothad thinks he's going to come round here with a LIGO.
I was going to say he's off to LIGO.
Yeah.
Oh no. He's in the right world for that.
Straight lines. You've come to the right place. Because I don't really think anybody's bothered about level and straight lines quite as much as we have here. And I'm not joking, because I mean, there's quite a few of us here, but me, I've been doing this mainly every day for a few years now. Every day. Some may say obsessively, but it's not, because I don't think you can obsess over something that's so basic. People want to come and talk to us about it all the time. Protothad, if you want to come in, save your text chat skanking. come in and have a conversation.
It seems he references quite a bit of surveying, but it doesn't seem as though he's done any.
Well,
I don't know
all
how
they
much he's
know
come in
is within
effect.
an argument, right? None of them have ever done any surveying. They've only got the blue marble scientific method of going against anything that we say, it seems. We say, this is what surveyors do. You know, surveyors survey locally, and an auto level's a tool for establishing a horizontal plane. Well, they say it can't be. And then blue marble scientific methods goes into action to try and generate the contradiction that has to be. Plumb and level are perpendicular. Oh. How can plumb and level be perpendicular and then level curve? How is anybody willing to work that out? Because that's what Protothad is saying. Plumb
Is that
and
the not
level
straight
are
line he's talking about?
perpendicular at the point of intersection. It's just that level curves as you move away from the point of intersection. I'm sorry, but
they can't be one or the other.
Yeah. That's a contradiction, right? And when you know that people are able to write such a contradiction, like literally, same sentence.
Yeah.
It's got to put a few dots after intersection. But I think, yeah, it's just like a bit of a pause. A dramatic pause. But same sentence, basically. And it's there for everyone to see. What does it mean? It means, well, perpendicular means the relationship of two straight lines. But in the same sentence, he's got level curving. And there's no such thing as something being perpendicular to a curve. And like Plum's vertical. So how can vertical be perpendicular to a curve? Can't. It's impossible. There's no such thing. And it may just be me being pedantic, but it isn't. Because it's not a pedantry. It's literally being precise with the mathematical understanding of the words. Protothad uses perpendicular to mean at right angles to a curve. That's a model affliction. Somebody else did it today as well. North, south, east and west are perpendicular. Yet east and west is a circle. So it's almost as if people like Protothad and the flat earthers that have east and west as a circle both have this misunderstanding of perpendicular, meaning at right angles to a curve, which is impossible. Redneck's asking for him for a rate of curvature of a perpendicular. You can imagine it curving over there. Right? But it's perpendicular here. And here would be anywhere where you are. That's where it's perpendicular. But you can point to over there and you can imagine a curve over there. But if you were to go over there, then it would be perpendicular and not curving. Is that just a white? The understanding of words, Saragaki was the guy that brought us, let's say, these basic laws of communication. I call them communication, because if you don't have these sort of understandings of how to use the identity of the subject that you're talking about, the most important one, right? If I'm talking about a banana and you're talking about a banana, but your understanding of a banana is actually an apple, then are we actually talking about the same thing because we're talking about a banana? Well, that's the same as what you're dealing with for people like this. You're talking about perpendicular, which is a relationship of two straight lines to one another. And they're talking about something to do with a curve. Maybe you're not thinking about what perpendicular is. Perhaps you don't understand what perpendicular is.
Or perhaps there was some fuckery that has happened with language over years. That could be as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or
as we all know,
the educational possibilities that definitions can mean different things to different people, colloquial meanings and all of this sort of stuff. Well, yeah, that's definitely took play within this paracosm, right? Because there are people that say, we're not talking about that, we're talking about this. And yeah, it's just a nightmare. Level curves as a rate of angle.
How is anyone able to communicate like this? Like this is the thing, right?
Level curves at an angle. An angle is the relationship of one straight line to another. The inclination of one straight line to another. Not a curve. It's still a nonsense. Literal nonsense. But, I mean, I suppose you can imagine that you're really clever and imagine that nonsense has some sort of meaning. He's somehow got some sort of angular measurement from LIGO, which has never occurred. It's a straight line, LIGO, one of the straightest things in the universe, apparently. Protothad is imagining he can get an angular curvature rate of a straight line. Madness. And I have to point out, right, we are living in reality and we're not flat earthers. But I think people like Protothad are mental. don't know what he's doing here. He's like literally speaking nonsense.
As I said earlier in the show, it's his oblations.
Yeah.
He's making his sacrifice to his deity by coming here. I don't know why they have to come here to do it. Like I say, I mean, they've got Nathan's they could go to. They've got other places they could do, but they choose to come here. It's strange.
It's because it's like public. We're doing a live stream. It's being broadcast to YouTube. He can get his name out, right? He's allowed to come in here. And,
welcome. Everybody's welcome. It's just curious to me, and it's not just because of the live show. Protothad was around from much earlier today in the live chat in our Discord server. Could be a humiliation ritual. I never thought about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Nathan Oakley's done the you can do fuck all with an angle, and he said he can make a circle, can save lives. Protothad is the guy that's come along with that, and that he was the celestial navigation guy, but I'm guessing seeing his 10th man's done a Jesse Kozlowski. Also sounds like Brenda. Similar, anyway. Since they've gone, then Protothad's got to, the straight line's got to go next, right? I mean, can they have straight lines? Can they really have people just going around talking about straight lines?
No.
In 2024? Relating
the monad,
to reality?
No. The monad doesn't allow that. It's a jealous god. We've said this before. The monad is a jealous god. Mo. We call him Mo for short. It's a very jealous god. He only allows the circle and the point.
Well, we have had a conversation, right? Always we've been having these conversations that since a circle is just made up of points at the end of a radius, if you were to join those points up, you would have a straight line, but that's not what a circle is, or a sphere. So, unfortunately, I think they're aware now that the circle and the sphere aren't actually things. They're just point movers, right? It's like a compass. A circle within Euclid really only gets used as the point mover for the straight lines and the triangles and the relationship to it, obviously within book 3 related to the circle, but all of the straight lines and how they're related to the circle. So, I mean, they are well aware that if you connect 2 points together, you end up with a straight line. And since that can't occur on the circle, that straight line is the shortest distance between 2 points. And once you know that, well, a lot of other pieces should fit together, but this is 2024. And people have to reason this for themselves. I don't think there's any way of you getting this without doing a little bit of a reasoning process. Don't think
it's a journey. With it. We've always said that it's a journey, and some people just aren't up to that journey. That's all right, though. It is 2024. You can just make blanket statements about what things are or not, or are not, and no one will challenge you on it, really.
Yeah, what you imagine, what you're dreaming about, what could possibly be if you hadn't have done this. Like you could, you can put a VR headset on, right, and imagine that you're somewhere else.
Absolutely.
Yeah, weird. So I'm going to put a shout out to Pete E. Come and have a chat, la. Pop in. We might be able to go over the stuff that we've done. Probably not, though. I'm hoping he'd be able to, seeing his GeoGebra He might be able to have a go at the Realising Euclid Test. Shared straight line segment. If he comes in for a chat, I'm not too sure he will. He might just wait until we have a chat with somebody else and put it out in a video. And then he might imagine that he can make it into some sort of a thing. But I mean, the Realising Euclid Test would be the challenge for you, Petey. A lot of other people have already tried it. It's only a quarter past. Anybody got anything else? I'm not too sure whether there's anything else we need to do. I think we might have done our work for today. I've been chatting to flat earthers quite a lot today. Probably one of the hardest working YouTube content creators around here. The sheer amount of hours that get done. I bet I've outworked Nathan Oakley today for conversations. Even words spoke. Does anybody have anything else? Is there anything I've missed?
I don't think so.
No. Anybody got any a request for a buster or spot on? Tune? Who have we got? Who's in here? No, there's nobody.
Is Spot On's new one? Is that for public? Listening or
No,
not?
there's no video for it yet.
Okay. Oh, cool.
And we still need to do a fair bit of work on some of them. What about Rumpus and the Tangent? That's pretty relevant for today, isn't it? Remember the old school guys. Remember the people that aren't around here. Okay, so thank you for joining us. Just a little one to go over the 8 inches per mile squared. This isn't going to end, right? Because I'd say, I still think it's impossible. If you were to do this in smaller and smaller segments, the eventual drop, calculated drop by the Imagine calcumeasured thing, you wouldn't get 8 inches. The only way you can get 8 inches is doing it in one go. And, well, that sort of shows the flaw within the mathematics. Within an if-then. I think a lot of people are going to be... well, I don't think anybody's going to bother about it, really. They'd rather forget about it because it taxes the brain a little bit too much. They can't
Both
work
sides.
out how it works. Yeah,
Yeah, both sides. Yep.
it's
of
nonsense
the false dichotomy
for most people. And the only people that seem to see it as nonsense are people that aren't model afflicted. If you're model afflicted, you'll try and reason it. You'll try and accept a contradiction one way or another. And that's not good. I've got to go. I think I'm meant to be going over to Flatsides tomorrow to have this discussion about a YouTube video about a surveyor who says it's flat, and about a guy who stole content. I guess we're going to have a conversation about both. Don't know how long it's going to be, for. So I'll be on that, and then I think we've got a bit of a presentation for one of the guys around here as well about mean sea level in the Canadians. So the only place you'll see that is in this Discord server. If you're not here, you won't see it. And we'll be back Friday. Thank you very much for joining us, and see you then. The tangent being parallel to the surface.
Well, it is. You do know what a tangent is, don't you?
Yeah.
To a circle.
Yep.
Good. Well, actually, I don't think you do, actually. You've demonstrated many times you don't, but we'll go through it again. Hopefully people know what a tangent to a circle looks like.
Yeah.
And therefore, that is at the point of contact, that the tangent and the horizontal are the same thing. So you could say they're both parallel to one another, but the horizontal and tangent are the same thing at a point on the Earth. If you change where you are on the Earth, you get a different tangent and a different horizontal.
What about the circle, though?
Is it a straight line, though?
Is the circle parallel to the tangent?
Is a circle parallel to the tangent? Well, a circle's is a curve. You've got to pick on a point. A tangent, that doesn't really make much sense. You can have a tangent to any point on the curve of a circle. That point, the gradient or the slope of the curve of the circle, if you like, is the same as the tangent by definition. That's how a tangent is defined. It's the gradient of the curve at that one point where the line just touches a circle. So that is a tangent.
Parallel?
And that parallel to what?
The surface. Parallel to the tangent.
Well, the tangent is defined. It's like, say, asking if something's parallel to itself.
What?
You don't understand what a tangent is, do you?
What he'll do, what the technique is they'll come in, they'll try to propose an answer to one of these unsolvable riddles, and then as soon as you try to object on some point of lunacy that they've made, they make it about, how you're so stupid and you don't understand. And then when anyone else tries to chime in to make it worse, is that you get a triggered flat earther that's like, how does this guy not see that, or whatever the fucking conversation is. And then they try to get in it. And then once you've got two flat earthers against Rumpus, now he plays the victim.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's like, but this is what I'm saying, is like anyone who's still playing along with the charade, you're just airing out and giving them what they want.
You don't understand the basics. When I say gradient, you don't understand what I mean. You don't understand the basics. The fact you don't understand. I don't understand what coach is. What I just said. You didn't understand what a gradient was. And the fact you don't understand this, that Bev doesn't understand the basics. So you don't understand what you don't understand what gradient means. But of course you don't understand what Kosh's point is. Did you not understand what I said? I mean, my God. Are you that stupid? You don't understand what I mean by gradient. So you don't understand what you don't understand what gradient means. Then. Really, this dense, you don't understand what I'm trying to say. You seem incapable of understanding simple things. You don't understand the basics. So you don't understand what you don't understand what gradient means. Then I think people understand what I mean by the gradient. It's going a slope. It's got a gradient of about 45 degrees here. You don't understand. But of course you don't understand this, so I don't. Right, so Armour understood exactly the point that I was making. You don't understand what a tangent is. It's not my problem if you don't want to learn. You're just on your own. Well, I've explained it in very basics, very precisely, very explicitly, and yet Bev will deliberately attempt to either misunderstand it or his IQ so low he's incapable of understanding. I mean, you don't understand what a tangent is, do you? I mean, you don't understand the basics. For someone who claims to know about geometry, you don't understand the basics. They misunderstanding, you see. This is the problem with this guy. He doesn't understand that I'm trying, but Bev doesn't understand this because he's a moron. I'm sorry, I can only do that if understand the basics, don't you? And clearly Bev doesn't understand it has a gradient. I think most of the panel understand what I mean by the gradient of the curve. You don't. I don't understand what Kosh's point is. The fact that you don't understand this is just unbelievable. You didn't understand what a gradient was, did you? You then have to say, well, what's a gradient? I think most people understand what I'm saying if they're not trying to willfully misunderstand. I don't understand what Kosh's point is. It's not my problem if you don't want to learn. You're just on your own. Typical of you, when you're using everyday terms, apparently you don't understand what they mean. Now, I don't know whether you do this deliberately to misunderstand what you're being told, or whether you're just stupid. You don't understand the basics. A child of about 10 or 11 could understand. I don't understand what Kosh is. He's deliberately, willfully misunderstanding me, or he's really stupid. and you don't understand that at a tangent point there is a gradient. You don't understand the basics. No, you don't, because there's a gradient at that point of a tangent. So you don't understand what a tangent is, do you? You don't. You're a moron. Because a point on a curve has a gradient. Don't you understand? It doesn't matter how much you zoom in. Well, because I'm having to deal with people who seem to be willfully trying to misunderstand me. And if that's the case, I believe that's a disruptive behaviour. There's something that Ben doesn't understand, so everybody else try. There's something that Ben doesn't understand, so everybody else try. You don't understand what tangent is, do you? It's not my problem if you don't want to learn. You just don't. You don't understand what I mean by grade. You don't understand what I understand the basics. Don't you understand? No reason, no logic, no wisdom, no worry. You don't understand what tangents are, basically, is what you're doing. You're just on your own. I don't understand what Cauchy's point is. No reason, no logic, no answers to questions. You're just on your own. You don't understand geometry, do you? You don't understand simple geometry. You don't understand what a tangent is. I mean, you're incredible. Oh my God. Okay, you're too stupid. Anyway, I've got to go to bed. Ben's stupid, and well done, Armour. You understood. I don't understand what Cauchy's point is. No, I'm a Glober, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So you understand geometry and Ben doesn't. Anyway, I'm off to bed. Well done.